Yeah. Waiting. Yeah. Right away.
Okay. It is. Excuse me. Having a technical difficulty back here. Okay, as it is now 6 o'clock, let us now begin the meeting. So before we begin the roll call, there's a item that we need to address, which for those of you who may not know, Shanna had resigned effective the September 5th. So at that time, we weren't really privy to how the statutes speak on the matter. But since it was delivered to the town clerk, then we have to consider that resignation effective. So.
In my defense, I did not resign. It was coerced. I was blackmailed by our law enforcement officer, who told me that if I did not, that he was going to pass on information to the feds to have our attorney disbarred over nothing, just an accusation. It didn't have to be true, he said. It didn't have to be true, just an accusation was enough. And that's what I was going to cause if I didn't do it, as well as my own case. So I asked for specific information on the case, and he would not give that to me until I resigned. I did resign, and then I rescinded my resignation. And when I asked our law enforcement officer for information on my case today, he said he couldn't give it to me because I rescinded my resignation. That shouldn't matter if I'm a board member or a regular person on the street. You deserve to know what's being accused of you. So in my judgment, if I was coerced into resigning, as soon as I found out that it was all bogus, I immediately rescinded that. I never received not one reply from anybody when I sent the resignation, and I did not receive a reply from anybody when I rescinded the resignation at all. And I was at the last meeting, regular meeting, nobody said a word about it. Asked for executive session, nobody said a word about it. Work session that I wasn't able to attend, nobody said a word about it until an hour and a half before this meeting with the attorneys on our agenda. That's how I feel about the situation. I don't think it's legal. And you didn't even ask our own legal representation if it was legal, or if you needed to look into it further. Against my judgment.
I would like to say something that it was not sent, it was not received in this town office until 2 minutes before 5 o'clock on Friday night. By then, our finance officer had left.
It's way after 5.
Well, then she was gone.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to, I mean, I don't read my emails from the town office on Fridays,
I don't know.
Saturdays or Sundays.
The marshal wouldn't give me any information until I sent the text. So I sent it to all 4 board members, him, and Terry.
Well, and then I'm speaking for the citizens too, because I know the citizens are very upset that you have not attended meetings.
Donna, can we keep this
It's not about
topic of
attendance.
the resignation?
Okay, well,
Thank you.
I'm sure that residents.
I was voted in by the
people too, so.
Yeah, I mean,
And they won't vote for me next time if they feel that way.
No, they won't.
so the SDCL that I'm going by, and it's not that I'm making this decision, I'm just recognizing a decision that was already made. And that's SDCL 3-4-2, section 5. And it's about resignation of office and to whom made is the title. And it goes
Should be more specific.
of officers of civil township to the board of supervisors of the township, except of members of such board, which shall be to the township clerk. And so when a resignation is made by a board member, when it's received by the clerk, then that can be considered to be received, and the resignation also stated effective immediately. So it's not really a position anyone wants to be in.
Would you repeat where you were reading from?
Yeah, it's SDCL 3-4-2, section 5.
It says resignations may be made as follows. This is if you want to resign. I did not want to resign. I was coerced into resigning. And it does say board members shall notify the township clerk. She was included in the text message. And the text message did say, please accept this text message as a copy of my resignation effective immediately. So I did not submit anything in writing or signed anything. It was a text message and it was rescinded the following Monday. So it was sent Friday night and it was rescinded, Tuesday afternoon.
Yes, I'd ask if he wants to speak on his behalf.
See here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Eric, would you like to speak to that? But I'll just, I guess, let you defend yourself against the allegations on the record, and then I think we need to move on. So,
Hearsay in my eyes, so
okay,
it's my word against hers. That's all it is.
okay, very good. So with that,
Other than the text message I have from today.
right,
Mhm.
Dan,
Also, I know in past, whenever we had resignations from any members, that the clerk would receive it, but that would also be recognized through the next meeting as a motion by members to accept that resignation, whether they did or didn't, or question it or question the individual, and ask for reasoning. So that's always been procedure policy, and I've not ever seen that here. No different than even being aware of that this had occurred. And then when a resignation is turned back in, where circumstances are with that on legality purposes, especially with a coercion.
John.
I would have to, in my mind, the way I would see it is that there was no response to the resignation. So you are either silently accepting it, which is what you obviously are doing. But then it was rescinded the following Tuesday, so that 2 working days. Because it was after hours on Friday, so actually a day and a half. And there was no communication saying you accepted the rescind of it. Therefore, I would have to assume same circumstance. You silently accepted it when you allowed her to continue attending meetings without addressing it.
Okay, thank you.
Mark, did you have a comment?
No. Ken.
Yeah, thank you. When I found out that from Carol that Shanna had submitted a resignation, didn't make sense. She loved representing the people that elected her to that office. It's destroying people's right of franchise, meaning the right of electing an official, and depriving them of their representation for the purpose of, by electing her, to have their concerns brought together that they trusted her to do. Okay, that's just one thing. That's a minor thing. But when someone is coerced into making a resignation, because she would have not done it for any other reason other than she was told at that time by Eric, the town marshal, that if she did not resign, or rather, if she would resign, then he wouldn't press charges, move forward with charges. And in fact, I believe that he said that the state's attorney would also not press charges against you.
He said he had talked to the state's attorney about it.
Okay. So this gets,
It's all about, I'm sorry, but this is all about me calling my ex of 13 years and the father of my daughter and ask. I want to put to
Can we
sleep
just-
all the rumors of why everyone's looking at me going a case against me for what? What did she do?
Right, but let's just make this 100% about the resignation, because that's what is on that's what we're talking about here, so.
the facts as I understand them is what I just mentioned. It was not a legitimate resignation because she did it under threat of persecution, prosecution, or whatever you want to call it. And I've known Shanna for well over a decade. I know her to be a good and honest person. She was being railroaded. And part of it was that she said she was doing it, and board member Linda Kramer can corroborate this, is that apparently it was stated to her that if you resign, we won't proceed with a allegation or a complaint against Kansas State Bar Association. Because if Kent gets one more violation, then he is going to be disbarred. Complete bullshit.
An accusation, not violation, just an.
And I was gonna provide the findings and conclusions of the bar, but,
We are that.
I know.
Yeah.
sorry,
Hold on a second. So, I'm just letting them say their piece and then we'll move on. We're getting to the end of it, but if we can keep this about the resignation only. And then if you'd like to address your documents under legal, then I think that we can do that.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
If I may finish, if you don't mind. So the bottom line is that it was not a legitimate resignation because we did it under coercion and threat of prosecution by the town marshal. Where the town marshal came up with this, nobody knows. I would recommend strongly that this board get to the bottom of it and ask town marshal to produce any and all documentation, records, and sources upon which he's based these potential allegations. So that's my recommendation as your town attorney, which I still am. The aspect of the resignation, getting back to that, was the main reason she did it. She explained to me is because he said he was gonna make a complaint. A complaint was made against me to get me disbarred. So they know me. We know each other well. They know what I stand for. They know my integrity, and they didn't want to see a bad thing happen. So she threw herself on the cross to do it, which makes me sick in and of itself. But I just wonder what's going on here, because you as the town people have a right to know. Reserve my comments for more for later. I would, in closing, strongly recommend, as a matter of record, this board has no basis to remove her from her chair, period. Until further investigation is completed. Until then, gee, I think there's something called innocent until proven guilty. That's all I have to say right now.
Okay, Donna.
So I'd like to ask you, Mr. Haig, with comments that you have made and everything, I believe that you are telling Shanna what she should do, and you are our town lawyer, not Shanna's. So are you conflict of interest?
We just keep this to the rest.
No, I understand.
This was supposedly explained to you.
If you completed case was.
It was against both of us, so of course we communicated.
Well, conflict of interest.
Okay, I would like to just address, earlier comments that this is merely, a recognition that's being done for the SDCL. The resignation was not made under any kind of duress in the message. It just said it resigned effective immediately. And, you know, I think it's unfortunate if, you know, one party believes the resignation to be under duress. But as far as I'm concerned, we just have to look at it from the upper level, from the board perspective. And so, you know, I'm just recognizing a decision that was already made is what I'm doing. So, anyways, with that, let's do roll call. Kramer,
Here.
Ferguson,
Here.
Coombs,
It's you.
I'm here. This here. All right. So. Shannon, do you, please get up from the table?
Is the public okay with that?
Yeah. No. Absolutely not. I don't feel it's just right here.
Yes, I was even told them,
The marshal wanted me to sign a document that said I wasn't coerced into quitting, and I said, but I am being. And I haven't seen that paper, and he hasn't asked me to sign it since.
So. This,
So we can fight this, and then I might be reinstated. Is that how you want to go with it? Like, guilty until proven innocent?
no,
Is
ma'am.
that what we're doing?
No, ma'am. We're merely, recognizing your resignation as tendered. And so,
Can you recognize my recension as well?
there's no mechanism for that, but, I think that we can move on from this. And if people think that this has been unjustly or unfairly handled, then please submit a complaint, please follow up. But again, you know, this is not a light decision by any means.
Sure it was.
And so, anyways, I think we could just move along with the meeting.
Vice President, I do have something to say with regard to this very matter. Now would advise the board, if it's required that she step down, I recommend that it be a suspension so that she can be reinstated if the facts prove that there was no basis for the suspension. That gives you at least that level of credibility that a rash decision wasn't made based on unsubstantiated facts. So suspension until further notice, I guess, would be appropriate at a maximum. Otherwise, I think the town is setting itself up for a lawsuit.
Sir, I understand your comments and I appreciate you making them. However, the authority doesn't lie with this board to suspend unless it's a majority vote, and that's not the issue at hand here. The issue is the recognition or the, I guess, the recognition of the resignation and the fact that that's been recognized. I don't know how else to say it. So anyways, thank you for that. Any further comments we can take during the input sections at the end of the meeting? So thank you. So I'd like to thank everyone else for coming today. So if you can, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Take a seat. So call vote changes. Review of the current agenda. I know, item 15C will need to be tabled, indefinitely until we receive notice from the Fergusons that they would like to proceed.
And Linda would like to add item 12E, legal reading provision. We'll talk about that.
12E.
12E. I just don't have a job description.
Let's what you told me that you had one. But
Meter reading.
I didn't. Okay, that's what it-
Okay, Aaron, did you have your hand up?
Oh, yeah, I can make the motion to table item 15C, the motion to do the changes you asked for.
No.
Did you have any other changes?
No, I don't have any other changes.
And I guess, and then approve as amended.
Okay. Aaron makes the motion. Do we have a second? What's that?
No second.
I second.
Okay. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Agenda accepted with the changes made. Moving on, consent calendar, approval of the August 9th, 2025 regular meeting.
Mr. President, I do have one final comment and I will read you all of these. But if I don't say it out of my own mouth, you're not gonna hear it. This whole page and rumors are about my ex and a check that he got credit. No, it'll take 2 minutes
Excuse me.
because they have been lied to and they deserve it before I leave for good.
Excuse me, they have your phone number back there?
Nope,
Excuse me, ma'am?
no.
Can you please sit down?
It was a quick claim deed. And I asked Kent to meet with us because he was the attorney that created it 19 years ago. I was not using my power as a board member or a town attorney.
Shannon?
Okay, guys.
No, I said my piece. I got it out there. I was not using the town attorney for my own benefit. He was the attorney I used 19 years ago, and had it been Margot Julius, I would have used Margot Julius. I called her and asked her to come meet me at Justice's office.
Shannon?
It was Kent. So I asked him to come talk to us. That's what it was. And all of you have been rumored to say that I am you out as a town attorney.
Excuse
Thank
me.
you.
Excuse me. Thank
I
you.
said my piece.
All right.
It came from my mouth, not was plastered on Facebook.
Yeah, if anyone would like to talk to her, her phone number is on the card on the back of the room, and you can speak to her directly, so thank you.
Yeah.
Consent calendar approval of August 9th,
Should be
meeting
the
minutes,
September, sorry, should be the September 9th. I
Oh.
apologize.
September 9th. Okay. Excuse me, so there is one change on here on the new business. Work session to be held September 16th rather than
Oh,
the
right.
26th.
Under new business, it should be the 16th. Oh, I make them every day, so that's fine.
Okay. So other than that, that's all I had for motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Seconds. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Conflict of interest. If anyone has a conflict of interest during any of the items we're about to discuss, please mention them now or during the item. Okay, so for town updates. Looks like the meter reading position has been moved To item 12. G, which was a town update I had, and then also, I think that's it. So moving along to engineer.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am. Oh, Joan, sorry.
Thank you. I want to let everyone know that October 8th, which is a Wednesday, will be our annual 17th annual, actually, Walk to School Day. And we normally ask the sheriff to block off 4th and 2nd. So for the walker safety. And of course, any volunteers would be appreciated, especially on the afternoon of the 8th to help put up signs. We generally put up at least 30 signs, and it takes a long time with 2 of us.
On the 7th, do you mean the time to put up or on the 8th?
Oh, I'm sorry, the 7th, yes, Tuesday the 7th, the afternoon of the 7th. So if anyone can help, please let me know.
Stuff to give the kids.
October 7th,
Yes.
you want all those main ones blocked right there, kind of stuff? You want the main one at the one that blocks in, so, traffic flow?
On Fort Street, and that side, Fort Street. That side of Second
It's-
Street.
You can ask her. I'm sure it's taken care of.
Okay,
I'll be there.
Yep, last year worked well.
is that it, Joan?
Are you still looking for people to help on the 8th as well?
Oh, yes,
Okay.
always. Anyone that wants to volunteer, we can find a place for. We don't get a lot of volunteers, so appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Joan. Okay, let's move along to town engineer, Anthony.
Okay, so, the first item, is the approval of the modifications to the Dropbox. I'm gonna have to table that again this time because the transmission just got to Michigan yesterday. I don't know why it took so long to get there, so they're inspecting it right now, trying to see, causes of failure, and then we have one here that we were gonna take apart and kind of compare it between the two. And that way we know for sure that the modifications we're proposing, we're not missing anything and why that's failing, So just gonna table that until the next, hopefully, it would be the next meeting, which is either a board meeting or a work session. I'll let you know by Thursday.
Okay, if that's okay. Well, if we need to vote on something, it'll have to be a special meeting rather than a work session.
Yeah.
Before the next regular meeting.
Right, I guess we decide if it's gonna be one or the other. If you're gonna vote on it or not,
So would you,
we'll table that.
we just need to table it, indefinitely until we find out.
Yeah, we can just make a new agenda item.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
So, let's go ahead. I'll make the motion to table that until, we find out more information back from the transmission people.
I'll second that.
Seconds. Any discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
okay, so this is the meeting before our anniversary, so this will be 2 years. The Benish is, well, that I've been, the town engineer Benish, it's, like a year and.
So you haven't been.
Put that out. Yeah, we'll have to do that next month. And, so, our on-call planner, basically, we started out with an on-call, like, office support. It was a very generic dollar figure that was time and materials. All these two prices are both time and materials, so it's a budgetary number not to exceed. And so, what I've done is kind of been doing that in reality is that on-call office support became basically on-call planner. And that's basically 15,600 is what burn rate is right now. So that's to renew that, for 2026. And then, on-call billing official, because the on-calls should be renewed on our anniversary. that would just be prorated. I'm prorating that down to $7,500 from the original amount. So that way it gets us to the next October. So those are the two explanations there. Again, both those are not to exceed kind of materials.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
I make that motion to approve it.
I'll second that.
Motion, Aaron seconds. Any discussion on these? Dan?
So on the on-call planner, what all detail?
So that's Neil Putnam. So he basically works with Terry to handle all applications that are submitted. That includes planning applications, building permits, all that stuff. So he reviews it first for ordinance. And then he divvies out the responsibilities to either myself or the building official or the floodplain or anything.
So if it happens, then when you get into the building permits, then whatever your fee schedule is, if it's above and beyond, will be assessed to that building permit. And then any fees that are charged through what he's doing will be recovered and also keep us where we're ahead of that budget then too.
Right, exactly. Yep, it's all reimbursable to the town.
Okay, and then on on-call building official, now will you be doing inspections?
Yeah, so John Burkhardt will do the R1, the residentials, and then I do the commercials right now. We don't have a lot of commercials, so they're complex and they involve a lot of fire-related things, so.
I was curious because I know in the public works contract that it was listed that you may be doing some of them inspections, so.
Yeah,
If that's how that separation's gonna happen, where if you and John are doing them, then that won't be involved with the purchasing contract then, or will?
right, so that's the next agenda item, which is C, the transition date from Ferguson's contract to ours. That'd be the next thing to discuss. Terry was gonna give us that date that the transitions happen, because I think it's July, right? Transition date for the next agenda item.
Oh, we approved those, yeah.
Yeah.
That first meeting.
So let's finish it, sorry, Terry. Let's finish the discussion on this item and then we'll move to the next one.
Yep.
After the vote.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Any further discussion on the Banish on-call renewals? Hey, Aaron?
I just want to say thanks to Bennett for everything they've done so far and hopefully keep seeing this kind of support for as long as we need it.
Sure. We'll be happy to do it.
Yeah, Connie?
I didn't think I'd ever say it's a really beautiful lagoon, but it really is.
Dude, there is such a thing.
Amazing, but true.
And Terry, just clarify too, we already have these amounts budgeted for next year, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
So the next thing is the question about transition. We had one building permit come in I think it was June.
It was approved May 29th. I think.
Okay, May 29th. And so that one kind of was truly a transition one because it was still under Ferguson Construction contract to do inspections. Us not knowing that, I finished, we were keeping track of it, we were tracking it, but not, making sure the photos were being taken, making sure the different threshold inspections were being done, but kind of working, teaming with that. But when it came to the inspection fees, they reverted back to the old fee schedule instead of the new simplified fee schedule of 67 cents or 65 cents. 67 cents a square foot. So, moving forward, new building permits, they'll pay the standard 67 cents a square foot and they get the 4 inspections that come with that and then review. So,
Unless there's floodplain or floodway or any engineering above and beyond.
correct.
Okay, before I get to your comment, Jerry, let's go ahead and make the motion here. You set the transition date for the building permit fees and approve the inspection payments for 340 Whitney.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, and then also, Terry, can you please restate the, date that we were talking about?
So the new Benish fees were adopted at the July 8th meeting.
Okay. So make the motion and set the transition date for July 8th, 2025 for the building permit fees. And then also to approve the purchase and construction inspection payments for 340 Whitney Street, which occurred before that date. Right, so that's the motion. And would you like to second that one? You did before.
Yeah. Oh, second, yeah.
All right, thank you. Discussion? Gary?
No, you covered it.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Yeah,
What was the 340 Whitney application, if I may, please remind me of?
that's the Mr. Stainbrook's house, I believe. And there was there was a transition period in there where his building permit came and then was it the Benish contract was approved after that. So it's just some housekeeping to set by board action what that date was, and then also make sure that Chuck gets paid for the inspection, even though it may have been done after the contract was Benish was accepted.
So
It's an administrative thing for the transition period between those two things.
who will finish out that permit, or is that permit been finished out through the certificate of occupancy, or is there still more?
Yeah, yeah, so we'll make sure that all the state inspections are done, initial. But we're not gonna charge Mr. Steenberg anymore than he already paid. So he's grandfathered.
Ferguson's collection then.
Yeah, and we won't collect anything. So that's just one where we're just watching it through the process, making sure that it's all done. And all documented and, with the state electrical and plumbing inspector, coming and doing their job.
And then you'll issue certificate of occupancy then.
Yeah, we'll work with the town.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 3 yeses, 1 abstention. Motion carries. Okay, pay application number 10.
Okay, this is, for the month of August. There's kind of a little bit of a lull, in work. They were getting ready to, deal with the, east side, dirt and all that. So, this is just the month of August to keep up with our monthly payments, in the amount of $39,599.56. And that amounts to 92% of the change orders from 1 through 8, plus $9,000 remaining on their original contract. So they haven't gone into the change order 9, which is still pending final approval by the.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve.
Don makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Aaron seconds. Okay, any further discussion on this one? Jerry?
I'd just like to say thanks to Robert. They came back and got the rest of the dirt. And not only did you get the rest of the dirt, they went back in and leveled the thing out and we made it look really nice. Just want to say thanks to them. They did a good job.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, he's a pretty conscientious guy, so I'm glad to hear that you're happy with the result of that. Yes, sir, in the back.
I just
Oh,
want to say.
there he is.
Wow. Yeah. Hi, guys. 6'4", I can hide, right? Thank you, Jerry. I just want to say, you made it easy for me because it was absolutely like working with the town, with the engineer, with everybody involved. So again, I want to say thank you, appreciate it. We're coming to a conclusion. tried to stretch it as far as we could, because it was just so much fun working with you guys. But we're getting close to I think that will be dead end, right? So we'll have to wrap it up. But again, thanks again. Anything, any concerns, anybody come to town, I'm always available.
Yes, sir. Yeah, thanks for all.
Thanks.
Thanks again for your great work, and I hope you heard Connie's comment earlier on how great that lagoon looks.
Well,
And smell.
we didn't design it, we just built it, so team effort.
Thanks,
Yes, sir.
Anthony.
Yeah, thanks, everybody. So is there any other comment on the motion to approve the pay app number 10? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Item E, amend FEMA brick award breakdown.
Yeah, so, I always do this when we have grants, because if there's anything that the grant, reviewer, could have a problem with, I like to, or, you know, if there's a change, I always like to get pre-approval from, FEMA with making the adjustments to the documents that they've already seen. So, in this one, we had to make some adjustments into phase 4. So none of the totals of any of the phases have changed. The total of the grant has not changed, nor the, grant management, budget. So just internally within phase 4, we wanted to make sure that it was understood that we're using our Vector truck to do the cleaning. And that $20,000 also covers repairs to our Vector truck. That was the big one, because, if they're thinking that we're gonna hire it out when we've got our own truck, and then we go ahead and submit those things to them, they might reject it, right, if we don't get it pre-approved. So that was like the major thing. So I got confirmation from Blair Jonas, by email that this breakdown, she doesn't have a problem with it. Obviously, she reminded us we don't get any more money. That's it. But that she didn't have any issue with how things are spent internally within the breakdowns. But I always want to make sure, because this is a federal grant, so there's audit processes. And so showing our cleaning budget, $20,000, showing the linear footages of the coating. So that's the coating, the official coating of the pipe. Coating meaning, it's like a standardized process of inspection. So there's codes for every defect in the pipe. That's the linear footage. And then our rental is there. And the rental, is a 360 camera that is allowing us to see all defects, both in manholes that could induce I&I, infiltration and inflow. And then we're inspecting all the pipe, in Ferguson South and areas that were affected by flooding. So that involves some of the areas as it stretched up into Whitney and Manning and all that, using our rental. So that gives us the ability to do that within this grant.
Okay. Thank you for that, Anthony. You have a motion to approve?
I make a motion, we approve it.
Makes a motion to approve. I guess I'll go ahead and second that one. Any further discussion on that? Any questions for Anthony? Anything? Mark?
This grant, is this something that we pay and get reimbursed for?
Yeah, so it is a reimbursement, but it's zero match. So it's 100% reimbursed. There's no cost to the town.
But it could take time to get that reimbursement, right?
No, so yeah, I mean, we're allowed to do monthly draws. And so with my experience with FEMA, with monthly draws, if we do a draw that month, we'll receive it before the next draw, the next month. So you're really only out about a month. And so it'll keep up the bill.
Okay, thank you for that. And then I would like to mention too, that this FEMA brick grant is the one that Joan worked really hard to help the town get, and was the result of a years-long process. Is that true, Joan?
It is, yeah. Well,
Yeah, and I believe,
he worked all the time on it too, so.
right, and I believe last fall it was when was it last fall when, two ladies from FEMA came and toured the town as a result of this, along with Blair from the state, to see the town and to check out scoping of the grant and to understand the realities of what's going on down here on the ground so that they can more accurately help us scope it correctly and everything. So anyways, that was a really important grant for us to get, and we were one of 160 communities in this country, I believe, that applied for that grant. We were one of the few that did get it. So, but thanks to everyone on their hard work on that.
Yeah, no small part to Headwaters, Economics and Bridget, Rachel.
Yep.
She got that application in.
Yeah, so we can't forget her either. So anyway, just wanted to say that little bit. So is there any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, aye.
Okay, motion carries, very good. Didn't sound like there's anything for planning and zoning, don't see anything on the agenda. So I guess that'll be it. So thanks, Anthony. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Anthony.
Okay, I know it says public hearing at 6:30 for the applications, and we're now at 6:46, so I apologize for that. Is everybody okay with moving along? Do you want to take a quick recess or a quick break before we move into that? Okay, sounds good. So let's go ahead and move into the public hearing. So, the public hearing for the new application for malt beverage South Dakota wine license, Whiskey Creek Solution, or sorry, excuse me, Whiskey Creek Saloon LLC. So, let's begin the public hearing now. So, I believe, Mr. Bringle, that is your application. Would you like to speak on your behalf?
We were just trying to get malt beverage like we had before with the Hermosa community, decided to name it something different. Basically, go a different direction with it, but we want to make it work to do it back again like we were and all that stuff. That's just what we're trying to do, get that back and
All righty, thank you for that. Aaron, did you have a question?
Should I go ahead and throw a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if there's maybe we should see if there's any cons in the room or any other pros in the room for this application and make it kind of more of a formal hearing. Donna?
Do you plan on running this? If you get it, do you plan on using it yourself, or are you going to be the one that's?
yeah.
Okay. Any, Andrea, sorry, I didn't see your hand there.
No, you're fine. Just again, I do hold the license for that address still. So you can only have one malt beverage, one liquor license to that address, so I'm not really sure how that's gonna work. But I did go ahead and let the state know that you guys are gonna try and apply for that address with my license already there.
Yeah. I know in my opinion on the matter, as far as the board is concerned, that the board's role in this is to determine the fitment for the ability for the applicant to hold the license. And that since the state is the one that distributes the license, it will be up to them if they want to distribute it or not. So, if anyone on the board would like to comment on their opinion on it, that's fine, but I mean, we will be voting on a motion for approval here hopefully soon. So do we have any other commentary in the hearing, Trina?
So am I understanding it right? You might approve or disapprove, but then if you approve, then they have to go to the state and actually get it processed. And that license is being used until December 25th, right?
And the beer and wine is until June of 2026. So they can,
Yeah, just the hard liquor.
Yeah.
Is what I was thinking about from our last meeting.
that's not until the first of the year.
The hearing for that one will begin after this one. If you see it on the agenda, yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to have a mental picture of the timeline.
Right, yeah. Andrea?
So you guys are willing to approve to let them fill out the applications to send in, even though I'm under an operating agreement with you and I hold the license? Wouldn't it make more sense and probably be more of a legal way to do it until after my operating agreement is up on the 22nd of December, before you do anything like that with them,
There's no operating agreement for the malt beverage and beer.
except the malt beverage is good until 2026. The first one that's up is the liquor. So that would make more sense to go after the liquor and then,
Well, there's no operating agreement for the malt beverage and wine either way. So, and this hearing is only for the malt beverage and wine right now. So,
okay.
but thank you for your comments. Is there any other comments? Okay, Aaron, motion. Make the
Yeah,
motion.
but before, just kind of, my perspective on this is essentially, there's been a lot of back and forth on whether we have really the authority for certain aspects of this, and we always seem to come back to the state has the authority. So I think essentially what we can do is approve from our perspective, the license for submission to the state, essentially putting the ball in their court pretty much where it belongs. And that's, I think, all we have control over from the perspective of the town.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
If that sounds fair. So motion to approve the malt beverage license for submission to the Department of Revenue of South Dakota.
Okay, approve the application. Okay, is there a second? Go ahead, second that. Okay, any discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done.
Who's abstaining?
One is abstaining. Okay, 3 ayes, 1 abstention, motion carries. Okay, so let's move on to the public hearing portion for the new application for on sale liquor license for Whiskey Creek Saloon LLC. And Mr. Bringle, would you like to make any further comment on that one, or do your comments for the first one?
Well, perhaps the first one, the new drinks have that vodka and you can only get through the liquor license, so if we were gonna try to bring some different variety and on it.
Okay, very good, thank you. Any other comments on for this public hearing? Okay, seeing none. Anyone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Linda makes the motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Aaron seconds. Okay, any discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay, Donna is abstaining again, so we have 3 ayes and 1 abstention. Motion carries. Okay, thank you very much. So let's move on to claims. Thank you for coming in. Okay, do you have a motion to approve claims?
I'll make that motion.
I second that motion.
Motion, seconds. Okay, do you have any discussion on the motion to approve? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 4 ayes, motion carries. Okay, on to law enforcement. You can take claims, the article report, NA.
Yeah, so, just update the town, we haven't had an influx of drunk drivers in the town, as of late, it's gone up a little bit more distracted drivers on their phones. I mean, maybe more than, what? 4 or 5 stops just in 3.5 hours, of people playing on their phones, looking down, not paying attention, going to the speed limit by like 20 miles an hour, and at 35, and then even the lights are flashing. So those are going up more. I'm doing my best to show presence in those areas, but the drunk driving, that's becoming more often. it goes back and forth from 40 up to Custer, and then 40 for those Red Dogs, where I've been getting it a lot back over here. I haven't had anything on 79, and then a lot at the corner bank, so I call it a little more in that area. Snake calls too been going up for their diet. So, thinking of the snake samples. And I mean, that's pretty much it with that. That's just an update on anything else, but if there's any other concerns, right back there, or you guys can contact them at the meeting. We'll go.
Okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. So moving along to 10B, phone internet cost for the marshal office. So the items that we have here is a monthly cost of $135.38 for 12 months for a total of $1,624.56 for the year. So is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Aaron makes the motion.
Second that.
Donna seconds. Okay, is there any discussion? Trina?
Is that for the, is that for the rental? Are we renting out that office? So is it for them or is it for our one?
No, actually, we can address that, I think, later, but the motion on the floor is for the phone and internet cost for the marshal office.
Yeah, I was just wondering who's gonna use it, us or the people who are renting the office.
Okay, I see. Aaron, can you answer that?
Yeah, so for our law enforcement, we need a more secure, essentially more secure dedicated line for telecommunications. So it'll be for the actual module.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Is, Marshall Davis, did you have your hand up? Linda?
So this is not budgeted, correct? For this year?
There's a line in there for backs and backs.
It was $150.
$150 a month.
Well, in fact, it was 150 for the year. That's what was budgeted this year.
150
for the year was what.
for the entire year.
Yeah.
So it wasn't budgeted.
No.
So I just want this, I mean, the townspeople have been very observant of the budget this year and how we've spent our money. And so this is another one of those deals that we committed to having law enforcement, and our law enforcement needs that. It's kind of difficult to not have that when we have law enforcement. But we're going against our budget to do so if we vote for this. So as public officials, it's putting us in a bad position, you see. I still believe that it's very needed. We hired him. We want him to do his job. He needs that to be able to do his job. I'm just putting that out there for the public, so.
Okay, thank you, Linda.
Mhm.
So looks like they're looking at something there.
So it was $150 a year.
If you look at their budget report in the financials there. I don't, so it's,
Page numbers at the bottom.
it is page 2 of the budget. So the total budget is 66,897, and of that, we still have 53,535.
So that's under the phone.
The 150 is under the phone and fax, but we have other line items that, because it's, the way they look at the budgets is if you, the department budget can't go over, but then that's when you have to supplement.
Okay, so, can you restate how much is unexpended as of right now?
Okay, so right now, we still have 53,535.83.
Okay, and so, even though there's only 150 budgeted for the year for this item from the last budget, then we're still covered by that one, right?
Right.
And then, so going forward, are we going to update that item on the budget for next year to include this cost?
Yeah, and I think in talking to Aaron, there's some line items we can, I mean, we're not gonna increase the total budget, but there's some line items we can amend a little bit to cover that cost for next year.
Okay,
We don't have to increase the budget any more than we're planning right now.
okay, very good. Marshall, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, so I was gonna say if it did become more harder to do so, I could just eat that particular cost myself. I don't.
That is not what we want. That is not what we want. We will find the money because it's a necessary expense. And as it is, Aaron and Terry have spent some time and found the place where they can adjust the budget for next year. And for this year, because of the fact that we did not have law enforcement for so long, we do have some monies in actual law enforcement. It just isn't under that line item. So we'll be able to transfer from one to the other. Okay?
Okay, thank you, Linda. Aaron and then Mark.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of mention that last I checked with our burn rate on the police budget, as it stands now, we're gonna have at least $20,000 left in that budget by the end of the year. So we should be flexible. But as far as next year, when Donna and I went up to Custer, we got some good information on a handful of grants that are available for rural law enforcement. So for next year, that's gonna be a high priority to see if we can get some of that money coming to our town to back us up if it's available. So.
Okay, thank you for that, Aaron. Mark?
I was just gonna say, having talked to a lot of citizens here recently, they're gonna support having this in the budget. I can't imagine anybody that wouldn't support it.
All right, well, thank you for that. Barry?
Yes, well, I'd just like to have a point of order question to you. I had my hand up for an extended period of time, raised, and then before you called on him, and before you called on him, did not call him, just a point of order.
All right, I apologize for that. If you can, please raise it high.
I had it like that for a long period of time, ask the folks around me.
Okay, for whatever reason, I didn't see it, so I apologize for that. Did you have has your comment or question been addressed already, or would you like to make it now?
Oh, no, it was his address. My comment was gonna be, and that's before you started talking about it, is that they need to go back and look at the extra bezel that's left.
Okay, all right, yeah, thank you, yeah. I mean, if that happens and I'm not calling on you guys, please just wave your hand or something. I mean, there's,
Watermelon.
yeah. Don't resort to that, but please try to get my attention, and if you need to, just please respectfully say something so I can hear it. So I'm trying to keep track of a lot of things up here. So anyways, but thanks for letting us know, Jerry. So do we have any other comments or questions on the motion on the floor to approve the phone and internet cost for the Marshall's office? Linda?
Well, I'm getting picky here, I guess. But under public hearing, we had motion for approvals under both those things. And under this, there's nothing that says a motion is needed. So, see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If we're gonna try to get this all squared away, let's get it squared away. And
Okay, well,
I will, however, even though it says that there's not a spot for a motion for approval, I will make the motion to get this installed in the marshal's office because I believe it's important.
we already have a motion on the floor to,
Okay,
I guess in spite of
in spite of.
The agenda item.
Mhm.
So is there any further comment? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, on to legal, and I would like to point out too that Kent volunteered his time tonight. He wanted to come and address the issues that we previously discussed. And so, I did give him that leeway to come and make his commentary at this time. So, but he is doing this on his own time, so, just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you, Mr. President. Passing around the letter written by my legal counsel that handled the allegations, wrongful allegations by my ex-wife. And this is also in to counteract, or should set the record straight at least, as a matter of fact. There have been a number of issues going by. Part of what Shannon was told by, according to her, I didn't hear it. Part of what Shannon was told was that, oh yeah, and resign or you'll be charged. Also, Kent will be, there'll be complaints against him to the state disciplinary board because, according to her, there are some areas of law that Kent can't practice. And one more complaint, by golly, he'll be disbarred. Which is complete bunch of BS. Just so, if there's anything that one should try to maintain is some semblance of respect and self-respect. And I'm talking about some of the members of the board and of course, some members of this town. But my lawyer wrote in testimony that dear Kent, thanks for the call. You asked that I confirm that I have represented you concerning statements by your ex-wife, divorce lawyer. I can confirm that you are a fully licensed attorney at law in South Dakota and that you are not subject to any limitations or restrictions. Please let me know if you need any further. Jeff Hurd. So I felt, unfortunately, I felt that was necessary. I've never had to do that before, but there are allegations that have been propagated by a member of this board that I was the cause of his divorce, all these things.
Hold on, guys, hold on. All right, Ken, can we just keep it to the topic at hand, which is, I believe it was that you're not subject to any limitations or restrictions on your practice?
Absolutely not. And with that said, there's a lot of maneuvering going on behind the scenes, and everybody down there in this audience has a good idea of what it is. But I would have to, in good conscience, due to what has happened with allowing, or with the town marshal doing what he's done, and I would suggest bringing that over to independent counsel to investigate. But with all that said, I respectfully tender my resignation because it's frankly taking a lot more time than it should for my busy schedule. And I love this town. It's a good town. It's a damn good town. I think the world of a lot of the folks here. But the greasy little innuendos are more than I choose to associate with. And I just will leave it at that. But my resignation is hereby tendered in protest of Shannon's dismissal unwarrantedly, in my opinion. The record will reflect that. So that's essentially what I wanted to do. And I, again, appreciate the opportunity. Been good to work with. I have enjoyed it. It's a great town. But I always think back, and I was even going to come tonight and it's like, okay, blow it off. But when Shannon was in trouble and when there's false allegations, in my opinion, being made, and the bottom line is that she did not voluntarily submit her resignation. She was coerced into doing it. And there are some that know it. So with that, again, I think submit my resignation and wish the best for this town. And, would, respectfully, oh, and by the way, I see Michael C was being considered. And he's, I don't know him real well, but he seems like a sharp guy, and I think he'll do well for you if that should be your choice. Just what it's worth.
We didn't know about that. Actually, his name's on the mail call here, and when, we get to that, it's for a FOIA request that he submitted. So,
Okay.
and all that information's in the package. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm sad to see you go, Kent. Yeah, I know we discussed the issues at hand tonight, and, I mean, I proceeded in the manner that I saw is the best path forward, and, that's all I can say. So anyways, I guess with that, let's take like a 8-minute recess until
7:20?
yeah, a 10-minute recess till 7:20. So thank you.
You can't hide it. It looks cute on you.
And frankly, I think with youth,
I did.
They don't know how. I'm saying, I can't go through this. You're gonna.
Right.
You know, how weird.
Okay, yeah, and I do know that too. You know, personally speaking,
I don't know, man. Thank you.
sorry I didn't get to you, but
I'm just getting back.
You know.
One of the things is, I know you guys.
I did.
I did this.
Well, I read your.
Then you say, this year. Now we're at. Yeah.
It was like, too many people were dying in my life. I want to stick around.
I've also did. You know, we have these. After we do that, that's gonna sort of.
I know, yeah.
Whatever it is.
That's you too.
Did I get in trouble? Oh, that's me.
I know, but it was amazing. Watching the people in the booth, oh my God, the booths were fun to watch. They are. Yeah, we have. Yeah. That was pretty good. They said it was Guinness. Pull down the Okay, can I ask you why the popcorn? When they didn't need it. I had great. She's the one who makes the right. I don't even try anymore. Good. Like them too. I was laying one of them. We don't like them. Okay. Well, consider that. I think they sell shirts that have air conditioning in them now. I don't know how expensive they are, but I could imagine in your position how nice they would.
When I was in bed, we put Kevlar instead of plates, so like you could take this thing next to your car, it's like a tube, and put it into your vest, and pull it into the air.
Yeah.
Okay. I used to take the vacuum cleaner hose, take like a adapter to it, stick it in the thing, like cold air flow through it.
So tell me what everything is.
So teaser cartridge,
Birch.
Or tasers, so
Yeah.
have those, but I carry it for 1 year, 2 year, one inside. Usually have two bags. So my sidearm. This is for my PDW, so it's another rifle, but it's so it's for like situations. The 30 round mag or 27 round mag, something else for kind of engagement. They're gonna hide behind cover, or they're gonna hard. So I don't care. And then radio, axon, body cam. But I turn on when I do like stops and stuff. Or
But you're supposed to have it on when you have that.
oh yeah, but it's on. It's on in the car. I do this. So you I set the car. I click this button. And then if it's a really bad game, it doesn't matter. It does a constant record instead of during like.
Okay, gotcha.
And they're pretty sophisticated. And then I have an earpiece.
Oh,
You never know what somebody's gonna say on there. It could be a call from somebody sitting right next to you in town. Rather than just in my ear quiet.
okay.
So custom molded ear insert. It's like on kick horse. Like that one lady.
All right, it is now 7:20, so let's reconvene, please. Aaron.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you. It is now just after 7:20, so let's continue with the meeting. Public Works, 8th Street, street light repairs, water and sewer department updates. I think we'll start with streets since I think Chuck just ate something.
That's on the street, so I'll leave that up to him. Areas that need to be fixed, obviously. Street lights, we have 2 repaired. I see another one that's acting silly. The big lights out on the highway are ours, as well as these on 40. And I do have a spare in stock because it takes quite a long time to get them here from China, so I do have one stock. Water is, consumption is kind of starting to straighten up a little. Water is kind of becoming, to an end.
Hey, Chuck, can I ask you a quick question about the lights? So I had a citizen let me know that there was an issue with the school lights one day.
There is not.
It was Friday.
Yeah,
Those lights have been off on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday
right.
for 7 years.
Okay, I'll have to check my records. I'm not sure that it was a Friday, but when I looked at them today, they were.
Some places they were off on Friday.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you.
There's not much point in having them on in the school.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Like I said, the consumption is down pretty big on water in the last month. I don't know, we won't know the loss report till here it gets completed on the billings. Sewer, I got new batteries and stuff for the generator. And we got one of the hydraulic cylinders are leaking. And pull that off, take it in, get it fixed otherwise. The generator truck will be in service. We won't have the back part of it, but we can still get it. And I can actually use it on some of the culverts that are in trouble around town, so. I guess that's about it, unless you have some questions.
Okay. Any questions?
There is, The, motion work orders, I think there's 4 yet. Still going to address. And the street contract for work stuff. We'll fall into Aaron's category. And, inventory and documentation of meters. I'm not positive what that pertains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's, so
Kind of wish anything had done. Yeah.
kind of moving through there. So let's see. Aaron, did you have any comment on A streets?
Yeah, did a little more work on the streets, went back through that test alley and put down the actual road base material to cover over the riprap. That's gonna be the plan moving forward. Riprap to fill in the hole and then road base to seal it up. I got Taz Court, that ravine on Taz Court filled with riprap. Next step on that one is to go back through with the road base to seal it over. But all of these spots all have drainage issues. We are gonna have to look at some actual cutting ditches and things, like the one on Taz Court. It became evident that the water from all of the housing up there is running down and kicking into the road rather than kicking into the ditch, and the ditch needs to be shaved so that the water's directed where it's supposed to go. But it's mostly manual labor, and there are volunteer sheets in the office, and my phone number's up there if anybody feels like joining the road work crew. It's a lot of manual labor. Donna's nails won't survive it.
They have to farm for sure.
But
So I always tell my husband.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Are you coordinating with Dan at all on the work that he's been doing on the streets, or?
I haven't gotten any updates in a while on anything. I'm just focused on filling the big holes with the riprap. It's all manual labor stuff, not really equipment. So it's more of a manual labor, shovels and rakes kind of situation.
Yeah, and I will, hold on, Jerry, I see it. I will recognize that I did receive the paperwork from Dan regarding this contract work, so I need to go through that and I'll get it kind of summarized and everything. And then, we can proceed with that. Dan, did you have any comment on the streets contract work?
Well, and I did too, on the jetter truck, I kind of raised my hand and tried to catch it on that, the comment about it not only about being able to jet and not back. And so does that mean we're not gonna get the back truck up anytime to do any of that?
Well, Anthony kind of decided that we wait on the back part of it because you can jet lines and do that stuff. That was the part. The clutch and that stuff is what runs the back part. The rest of it runs off in the front part of the pony motor, which I wasn't aware of right off. So it can be used, but Anthony didn't seem to think we needed the back part of it. I spent more time on hammering and stuff like that. But we did get a quote on the Scotch pressure plate and that stuff. He kind of indicated there is money there to work on that stuff. And so I guess, right by ear.
I mean, wouldn't it make sense to have the back fixed, so if we jet everything into one spot, we can suck it out of there?
Well, that kind of depends, I mean, if you're, and you can't see it. I mean, maybe you can, but I can't. So that's why hammering is very important, because you look in those lines to see where there might be a problem child or roots or something that needs to be taken out. And you know the footage because you've already jetted it. So you can go in there and make multiple passes, following with the camera so you don't duplicate the footage. It's something I started with Ace several years ago, because they go in and pull back out, run the camera in. So my suggestion was put the camera upstream and follow the jetter back out. So if you see a problem, you can stop and then work that area a little bit back and forth instead of 300 extra feet that you don't need. You've already been through that. So actually, that's where it's at. One of the cylinders is leaking on the boom for the back. Talked to Steen, he's gonna pull that off so I can take it in and get it sealed. But he's been kind of swamped with his shop too. So it's coming along.
Good. Dan?
So I guess my question still is, I know in the past of all the years that we've done that we've always wanted it back because of the manual, because of circumstances when we did check. And I thought the truck was gonna be functional, and if it's not, how much we're gonna be involved with yet to get it functional. And I mean, you want the whole service, it was also from lift stations that we had it, they'll be able to flush and back them, and, you know, to me, it'd be nice to have the whole thing functional, if you guys can use it.
Yeah, it's the first time I've heard of that, so I'll talk to Chuck and Anthony and see.
I'll pursue it. I mean, yeah, we just dropped it with Anthony's recommendation. We could still jet and do that stuff, so. Still pursuing the repairs on it.
Jerry, did you have a question or comment?
Yes, I did. I wanted to ask a question on item C, when you guys went to D and started talking about inventory and documentation of water meters. I raised my hand because I wanted to go back and ask a question on C.
Okay.
A little bit of it you answered.
Yeah.
But my thing is, I sat in the meeting when there was a motion and there was, I think it was, I can't remember, I'd like to be able to go back and listen to the recordings, but we aren't able to get to those. But I think it was like $2,600 or $2,900 for a certain amount of work that Dan Callsworth was gonna do under his contract. Now, in that list, in that packet that he put together, he stated that, yeah, I'm only gonna do these, this here stuff would be above and beyond. I guess my question is that when you go back and review this stuff, to go back and look at what the dollar amount was, it was approved. Because you yourself said there will be nothing paid above and beyond that unless it comes to the board with more approval. There's been nothing in the motions, nothing in the deals. That's just my comment. Thank you.
Right, yeah, thanks for pointing that out, and it's always been the intent of the board to, as far as my opinion goes, is to follow that original amount, so, Dan, did you have a quick comment on that, and then we'll go to Aaron?
Please, because we were gonna discuss the contract work after, and after you made that mention, I did want to sit down and we go through items so that it was more clarified to you. And for certain individuals, I've always said that if you look through them numbers and see how much I've actually done above and beyond, I've never asked for more than what that is, and that was over a year and a half ago. And have went above and beyond on all the items and services, and it's all documented, and it's all wrote down, and everything that's been done for them services, and I will never expect any more above and beyond.
All right, well, thank you for that comment, Dan. Aaron?
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on the vac truck. I did talk to Anthony about it. I helped find the parts for the vacuum system, and then he kind of got back out to me. And so the bench is working on getting us set up in the very, very near future to jet, to the point where if we were to take apart the vacuum system and things didn't go just right while we were doing the repair, we can end up having a delay that would interfere with our ability to jet, where the public works can get the jetting system up and running much more quickly and get us rolling. So while we won't have the full vacuum and jet system, at the very least, we can start getting work done on the jet system that Anthony wants to get done before winter, before.
The vacuum and jetter and the pressures, both work off of the pony motor. The backside where the clutch and that stuff is what runs the back. But in this particular case, the pumps and stuff are mounted on the front part of the crankshaft. So that does run the other equipment without.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll reach out and talk to Anthony, and I wasn't aware of all this type of stuff, so it's good that you guys are getting it figured out. I know I would like to see that one working as soon as possible, but if we do need to do some interim jetting before we ended up getting that totally fixed, if we can do that and we need to do the jetting, then it's probably a good idea too. So anyway, thanks for that clarification there. So let's move along to item D, the inventory and documentation of water meters. Is that,
Yeah, I put that on. The citizen, kind of everybody in general has shown a desire to move toward the remote readers, the remote reading system. And I mentioned, when I was on the phone with Anthony, probably the same conversation about the vac truck. I mentioned, that the citizens were interested in it, that there was interest on the board. And he said, number one, first step, we need to have a full inventory of every single meter in town to know which ones need to be completely replaced top to bottom in order to be compatible with the system, which ones just need the head, as I understand, Chuck. And so because some can be partially replaced, some will require complete replacement. And Anthony said that the difference there in cost is substantial. So we really, before we look at going to bid or anything for the parts and so on, we really want to make sure we know exactly what we have so we can do that accurately.
One of the beauties of the Badgers that have been in effect for 10, 12 years is that they are compatible with the new satellite system. What we change out is the pigtails have got adapters on those, and what gets changed out is the touchpad only. The rest of the meter, head, distributor, all of that is compatible with the satellite. That was one of the beauties of sticking to the Badger style meters, because all the upgrades that come along over 10 years, these meters are capable of making those upgrades. So I would be very surprised in 300 meters if there's one, two, maybe that might not be compatible. I'm certain that almost everything has been changed out over the years. We have quite a menagerie of different kinds. So 5, 6 years ago, I standardized everything with Badger meters, with the concept that any improvements that are made along the way, these meters will accept that changes. So basically, years ago, when Bernie was on the board, we had checked that out. It was like 23,000 or something, change them over 60 or something now. It's
80.
80. As long as you can. How long?
But yeah, that was basically what I wanted to bring forward, is that I had talked to, and from what Anthony says, he wants a hard list. And at the same time, my understanding, part of the silversmith end goal was to have documentation of location and type and everything of all the meters for all the residents. So, yeah, we need to, I don't know if it's a water committee thing.
We can pretty much go right to the reader list and pretty much locate everything. And sometimes the reader makes a little smiley face if something's not right on the meter. So that gets addressed somewhere along the line. But, yeah, I don't see a problem with converting.
I mean, we pretty much have that. We just have to standardize it or formalize it in that list and then double check that that's what we have, right? Okay, Gary?
Just a couple of questions on the proposal or the quote that you guys got in. You know, they requested $290. The one thing that was less, and I think that was like Chuck was talking about, that was the pigtails. You just changed the meter in. And then I think he had on there about 90 meters. There's about 90 where they needed a little bit extra. And I just wanted to ask Chuck, that's pretty accurate for what you need then? What was on that quote?
When they order meters, you can get those leads in different lengths. And obviously you don't need 30 feet when it's only 5 feet from the meter to the reader. So I tried to pick up some of the, so there's less waste on the actual wiring. And some of them are on it, so if you go from one side of the house to the other, you can be going as far as 30 feet. So you can't slice that stuff. It's gotta be original, so. All in all, I mean, yeah, I've got quite a few extensions and stuff that meters happen to be further away, but what will actually happen is those satellite, receivers will go in the exact same spot as the touchpads do.
Right, yeah. So, looks like on our list, we also need to include approximate pigtail lengths so we can get the correct length of pigtail for each installation. Is that correct, Chuck? Is that what I heard you saying?
Well, that's the reason why I have different links on hand.
Right.
I probably got 30, 35, maybe, extra pigtails.
Okay. All right, Jerry.
And another item, when I was looking at that, that quote that you got, it was $87,000. And if you go back to the South Dakota laws on buying materials and parts like that, that's over the $50,000 mark where you have to go out for competitive bid.
Yeah, that takes.
And the reason I bring that up is because you guys are just talking about one quote, and I just wanted to make sure that you needed to go out for the rest, so.
Right, and actually, the quote Terry has is a different one than the one that most people have seen, I think.
Well, this is what we currently have.
Yeah, the one that we had before, wasn't that a different one from last year? Was this the same one?
I think it's the same one,
Oh,
because it's the same company that we currently buy our meters from.
Metering.
I've talked to a couple other vendors, but I haven't received an actual quote from them.
okay,
So,
Metering tech is overrun too now.
yeah, metering and technology.
right, okay. So, I mean, we need to, I guess, keep asking them, and then if they decline, then, I mean, what else are we supposed to do, right? Jerry?
What, I guess maybe you misunderstood what I was saying, is according to the state law, if it's over 50,000, you gotta go out for competitive bid. If it's between 25,000 and 50,000, then you can do quotes, but you have to have at least 3 quotes. But right now, the thing is just go and see if somebody else quotes doesn't satisfy the requirement that it's over $50,000. What needs to be done, and I think I provided, to some of the board members, you know, the procedures that will need to be done to do that, and it needs to go out for competitive bid.
Okay, I see. But this quote satisfies, us as far as we need to know what the approximate cost is gonna be to make sure it's over that amount. So we can get a quote to see what's the going rate, and then, okay, we found out it is over that amount, so now we need to go to competitive bid.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, that was a nice, discussion about inventory and documentation of water meters. Any final comments on that one? Okay, let's move along to the meter reading position, and I believe Linda wanted to add that to the agenda. Linda, would you?
Yeah, I would like to make sure that it gets, out there so that we can put it out for bid. I mean, for, you know, a position. Right now, Terry tells me there is no job description, and Aaron, I think, went online and got some job descriptions, and we'll have to go through that.
Yeah, this
But-
is like the abbreviated, and this one's a little more specific.
A little more.
Or like, this would be like newspaper, and the other one would be.
Okay.
I just don't ignore the numbers, I just guesstimated, but.
Yeah, sure. But we definitely need to look at this and make sure that we have everything in here that's needed for the definitions, job definitions, and then get it, out there so that we can get somebody hired as soon as possible. So I just wanted to make sure that that was done. This is, you just got this today? So I've not had time to read it. I don't know if anybody else has. If we are going to have a work session this next week, this would be a good thing to put on it to get this moving forward as soon as possible.
Are you trying to tell us you don't understand wrong?
No, I said I was quitting and that I would train somebody unless the job is gonna require a payment of $25 an hour, then I will rethink it. But, at this point in time, it's not worth what I'm getting paid for. And so if, we're gonna put it out there for bid, or to get somebody hired, we need to have everything. We need to have a job description. We never have had that, ever. So, yeah, right, exactly.
Okay,
So.
do you guys want the work session to go over that next week?
I was thinking if we could, essentially approve you and Linda to, like, get us to the point where you and Linda can get one together, and once you guys approve it, then it could be, so we don't necessarily have to wait for another meeting or work session or whatever. If that sounds fair.
Well, we are in the water committee, right?
Yeah,
So, right, okay,
so,
I'm okay with that.
so I'll make a motion to approve the water committee to draft and post.
I don't think a motion is necessary. I mean, that's pretty much the water committee's job to do that, right? Yes.
I wouldn't think there would be a
No,
need for that.
I don't need a motion to be directed to do that. I don't think Linda does either, so anyways, if you can hand me that, I'll go over it and I'll look at it. Okay, all right, thanks. Okay, Chuck?
Yeah, can't be
I guess, she's coming from the house. So much an hour, we need to know how many hours it takes to read.
Right.
That's pretty important.
It'll-
If you're paying by the hour, it is.
Right, exactly. And it depends on the weather, depends on the day of the week, and honest to God, it does.
Well, you're getting that, I used to read.
I know, and so, but the average, I suppose, is 12 hours a month. And then if that person is gonna be required to go out and reread some meters or read one that's getting turned on or turned off or whatever, you need to add that in there and, yeah, and then training always takes longer than doing it yourself, so, that time frame will take a little longer too, so.
You might think of a fuel charge.
And then there's that. At one time, I was offered the city vehicle to go do that in. And I did that once and I cannot stand the way that vehicle drives and decided it wasn't worth my time to go get it picked up, make sure the battery was charged, make sure it had fuel, blah, blah, blah. And so I didn't do it anymore, one time. So, but yes, that would have to be discussed also because the person either needs, mileage reimbursement or whatever.
So we can post a job description without any motions for this posting. It's still.
I mean, we should probably get the job description done and then
First.
at the next meeting, we can present the new job description and then do the motion to post. So we can all review the numbers and everything like that. Does that sound okay to everybody? Seems like that's the best place forward. Chuck, did you have another comment or did we already get it right?
No, I think that, the time it takes to read them is very important.
Right.
I'm getting roughly $100 to read them now, so if there's another vehicle involved or whatever, at $20 an hour, you're looking at $240. Takes 12 hours. If it doesn't, well, then you never sold it.
Right.
somebody comes in cold turkey, they're gonna have to have their own vehicle and gas and whatever. You know, I did it for years, so I know exactly what she's talking about. Whether it's 3 foot of snow or 10 below or 106 in the cage or it affects us pretty bad.
Okay, well, thanks for reminding us of a lot of the ins and outs of that. Okay, let's move along to economic development. Aaron, do you have any updates for that? I don't see anything on the agenda.
Nothing new. No meeting I had to go to. Tourist season's really dropping off a cliff.
Yeah.
Other than that,
Usually does about this time, right?
Buffalo Roundup going on, that's the hoorah, and then it's.
Do they round up the golf line Thursday or Friday?
Friday, I think.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. Terry, do you, on to you, monthly financial?
The financials are in the packet. We did receive, we have all of our ARPA money now, and we have all but just under 200,000 of those SRF loans, so that's helping our bank account over there. So we spent a lot of money.
Is this true that we're in the positive on the engineer total now?
Yeah, because I did that budget supplement.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
right.
so these budgets include the supplements that were approved, so. Yeah.
Okay. And then when do you expect the loan reimbursements or the reimbursements and stuff to get in there? Are they already in there?
They're all but we just received one last Friday, so the 331,000 is in there. And then, like I say, I still have just under 200,000 that I'll have to get some payouts ready for. You look at that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And we do have one thing on there, the mail call, which we alluded to earlier. And just point to that real quick. So it's item 14C in the packet. We did receive a FOIA request from attorney Mr. Steve. And so the request is in there along with the documentation that we provided to him as a result of the request. So please check that out at your leisure. And if you have any questions on that, you can get a hold of me or Aaron. I know we work together on getting those collected up and Terry submitted them to him. So, Trina, did I see your hand up?
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking, too much like a small business, but, could the board consider putting in a monthly P&L statement for the finances? So I think that would be easier for us to read. It may not be easier, but, I'd like to request that.
Okay. Is that something that is?
It's not an option for a report, but let me see what I can figure out.
Okay.
It's not a collection in my.
It's nice because it's more summarized and it just has the ins and outs right there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Derek.
Yeah, one of the items on the report, I think it's page 1, TEC, they talk about last month's cash balance, this month's cash balance. And right now it says cash balance is 1.8. Probably a little over a year ago, that cash balance was about 1.2 or 1.3. So it looks like we are moving healthily in the positive direction over the last year.
Is that amount, right? Is that amount reflective of the supplement that we just did?
Well, that's with that's within our checking account, within our, we have a subcode fit account that we invest in, and then that CD that we have, so it's kind of all of our money.
Okay.
Yes, Cal, the comment I was making is it has continuously grown in the last year. So that is positive.
Very good. Yep. What's that?
He's patting us on the back that we're on the bus side.
All right, well, I don't know that he's doing that, but I appreciate you. pointing
That
it out
was,
there.
I mean, everything's looking forward.
All right, thank you. Okay, well, moving along to 15A. I don't think that's going to be a item that we need to consider anymore. So we can move along to 15B. Yeah, I guess my opinion of the matter, before we get started is that due to our legal budget being pretty low right now, that in my opinion, we shouldn't be considering any attorney appointments until the beginning of next year when our budget resets. That's just my opinion, so. Jerry?
Just another point of order, and back to Robert's rules.
Yes, sir.
When it's an item to be voted on, be talked on, there should be no discussion on that item until there's a motion made. You should always go back and look at Robert's rules. On a business item, it specifically says, until a motion is made, it shouldn't. So maybe what we might should have done is call for a motion on that. Someone could have made a motion, and then you could have said what you did. But you violated Robert's rules.
Yeah, I appreciate you pointing that out, and I'll check into that. So, I mean, we do need to have a motion, so we can go on to that now. So, would anyone like to make a motion? I'm not sure who put it on the agenda, but, Eric?
Yeah, I put it on there just as like the follow-up to essentially what was the nomination in this appointment. Just more for, all right, what do we think about it? But, I guess our situation's kind of changed a little bit, but yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and make the motion to appoint.
Okay, Aaron makes a motion. I'll recognize the motion. Is there a second? Linda?
No, but I'd make a motion to, make some phone calls and see if we can get any other interest.
Okay,
Point in order, sir.
excuse me, sir, can I please run the meeting? We do have a motion on the floor, we're waiting for a second. Is there a second to the first motion?
And second.
Okay, we do have a second, Donna. So, discussion on the, motion on the floor, appointment of Scott James as town attorney. So would you like to begin discussion, Aaron?
Not particularly.
Okay, would anyone on the board like to begin discussion? Linda?
I would just like to see us, make a few phone calls first. And before we've got nobody, else, we've called nobody else, we've done nothing else in the last year or however long it's been since we looked for attorneys, and I think that we should, do that. And put it off
Well, I
until,
think Mr. James is here. I think we should give him the opportunity to speak anyway.
well, he spoke very nicely at the last meeting, and I have nothing against him whatsoever. It's just a matter of being fair. And the fairness states that we should, go out and see if there's anybody else willing to be a city attorney. That's all. If there isn't, then, if, Scott James is still interested, then, we can appoint him. But at this point, we haven't given anybody else a chance, so.
Yeah, so I think to follow up on my previous comments, in my opinion, after we have checked on the veracity of the procedure that Aaron presented, which to me looks okay. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that per se, but I think it would be good for our due diligence to get it checked out by a legal authority of some kind. But I believe correct me if I'm wrong, but the procedure, essentially, we have a resolution which creates an ordinance which says how much we will pay or how much we're willing to pay for an attorney. And then after that, the ordinance also includes, I guess, automatic tasks that attorney will complete for the town without, I guess, without board intervention. And then after that, then it sounds like then we would go so-called attorney shopping once we have kind of determined where our qualifications would be. So that's just my comment on that. And that procedure, like I said, looked okay to me. And I think doing it in a very systematic way is good for the board and good for the town. And that we can kind of approach it as almost an engineering type problem where we have the result in mind that we like and then see if we can find somebody that matches that result. And then I guess if we can't find anybody, then we can reconsider what our qualifications would be. But anyways, are there any other comments from the board? Aaron?
Yeah, as far as calling other people, we had that work session, what was it, about 3 months ago? And when we saw our legal budget kind of getting interesting, that was told during that work session, to go ahead and contact Mitch Johnson. I called him. I think, he's not particularly interested at this time. He told me somebody else to call. They weren't particularly interested at this time. But I think as far as this appointment goes, I think we're kind of somewhere in between what it costs versus the appointment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I really, it's interesting to handle this situation because we do want to have somebody to represent us. But how I understand from what I read, all the research I've done is that any legal services we do now are essentially as needed. So like if we have an appointed attorney, we can call him or we can make a motion directing him to do something, but we can't contract with him. That's how I understand. But honestly, I guess if Scott would like to give us any input on this, that's probably a better person to talk about it.
Okay, I see a lot of hands out there, so Mark has his hand up now, and we'll call on him, then we'll go Jerry. I saw Connie, then we'll do Vicky, and then Dan. So we'll just go with that for now. And if there's any further comments after that, we'll get to them. Mark?
I just want to say that everybody knows that there's going to be instances where we need some advice. So I think Mr. James is available. We did vote, or you did vote to supplement the legal budget. I still believe there's funds left in that supplement, $3,500 or something. I think it's just important to make sure that, I mean, Mr. James is available. He's willing to do it. He's close to the community. There's funds left over. If a situation arises where we need legal counsel, I mean, most of us wouldn't be okay to still call, hey, he resigned. So we need somebody that we can talk to, that we can get advice from, even if it's temporary till the end of the year, because the state law does say, you know, it needs to be by ordinance or a resolution to have a on-staff attorney like that or a contractual attorney. But I think it is necessary.
Okay, thanks, Jerry.
I think as you go back and look at how we hired Mitch in the past, Mitch there was no contract then, there was no ordinance, there was no retainer. It was agreed upon on what his price was gonna be, and then whatever, and then he did no work unless a motion was made and approved by the board to do it. And back after he resigned, Linda was the board president. There's a lot of citizens, some of the same citizens here sat here. And she told us, go out and find somebody who's interested. I haven't been able to find anybody. Aaron just got done telling us that he went out and looked. Okay, as citizens, we did go out and look. And we found someone who is interested. I think that, the motion should be out there that we do hire him at this time to do that. As the same way we had Mitch, and that was just a motion by the board, and then it was an oath of office. That's how Mitch, because when I took over as board president, what kept Mitch there from where he was the year before until then, is that there was a motion to swear him back in again as the town attorney. And then he went on whatever it cost, whatever his cost was. If we asked him to do something, that's what he did, and then that's what we got paid for. I think that that's the way we should do it now. Now, to get us through the interim, maybe into the future, maybe you'd write out some big contract. But right now, we need an attorney to see to it that things are done ethical and morally in this community. And we have not had that.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. It was either Vicky or Connie.
My comment was that we already had money in the budget for Hague. And where is that money now that you said that there is no money till the end of the year for Scott? Where is that money?
Because can't Hague spend it?
It's not.
He's already spent all the way to the end of the year.
No.
Not all of it, but he spent a good portion of it.
And Scott James has already said that he would do what we needed when we needed it. He didn't want a retainer and all that. He was gonna do what he said that the last time when he spoke. And he's a very ethical man. I've used him before. I'm not being biased, but he's a good man. And I wish that you would just let him in.
Okay, thanks, Vicky. Connie?
The citizens have really spoken more than just one meeting. Jerry did state one of the things I was gonna say, that Linda told us to go out and find an attorney. We did what she said. She also said the last time before Kent resigned, how important it is to never be without an attorney. But now all of a sudden she wants to go shopping for somebody else. We have a man that wants to do for the board to help with some decisions with our businesses and with our community. We need that, and you guys need to listen to the citizens for a change. You guys, I'm sorry, it's embarrassing to sit here and watch you guys turn on every member of the community. No matter what we want, you guys go against us. That's how it feels.
Okay, thank
This
you.
is very important.
Dan?
Thank you, and I must say, I have to play thank you guys are doing a great job. I never have an easy hat to put on. I've been there, done that. And as far as the attorney, there was a position where this started out because you guys were going to increase the budget, and a citizen brought it forth with a petition. And that's where it was at, is not to increase the budget, not to change the attorney, but not to increase the budget. So now it's in a circumstance where we had moved everything down to where he was on call only. And only being used is what the board needed to use him for. And so I don't ethically think you're wrong at all. And as far as the statement made about Mitch and how he was hired and where he was at, he was looked at before with prior boards against other attorneys. And there was two, I believe three, if Linda remembers, that we had interviewed and looked at before we brought Mitch in. So that was where it was at. And then the exchange of where it went with Mitch into the next board was the controversies that have arisen and drove that into a bad situation. And that's what you're gonna have for the attorneys, is that everything that's went on in the community since that positioning with the Facebook and everything else is gonna make it tough. Now, I'm not saying Mr. James isn't a good individual and that he hasn't got good profiles, but you as a board have to feel comfortable with that too. And I've never heard a cost of what it is an hour. I've never heard anything on the retainer portion of it, on that portion of it. And in my feelings, we need to be looking at the board doing their job as what they are and protecting the citizens on the budget level. So thank you.
All right, thanks, Dan. Jerry, I see Tammy's hand right behind you, so we'll go to her.
Yeah. One of the things, Dan made a comment is that,
All right, you can go now then.
yeah, one of the things that, Dan made a comment on is that he hasn't seen anything from, Scott James. And the reason that is because when he sent his packet in last time, the citizens didn't get to see it. Some of the board members didn't get to see it. The board president kept that under wraps. Nobody got to see it. And so.
Okay, Tammy?
My question is, why are we all of a sudden talking about needing to put out a bulletin for a new attorney when I thought a couple of weeks ago or a couple of meetings ago, we had him up there talking, pleading what he was going to do, his pace of doing this. And so I thought we were already basically on board with him to begin with. So now why all of a sudden are we talking about having to possibly put out an application for another one when we already listened to him say he was interested, and I thought we were all on board.
Yeah, I mean, I see Mr. James' hand down there, or back there, and I'll call on him in a second here. I mean, I believe that was before we identified that a procedure that we should likely follow or consider following. B, that the way that Hague was appointed via motion wasn't legal, but that's what we're trying to do today. You know, to me, there's some inconsistencies going on here. And so what I'd like to, at least in my opinion, what I'd like to see the board do is address some of those and see if we can get either a procedure or a method by which we can set a precedent that boards going forward can follow. And it's not just going to be, I mean, this is, I think Aaron mentioned it before, that usually attorneys are hired via resolution. Is that true? Is that what you're saying, or?
So it's kind of distinct. The everything I've read, it breaks it. The appointment, so the appointment can be made by majority of the vote, but the contractual payments, like if we have certain tasks they can do without board approval, if they can have a retainer, all that is resolution or ordinance. So like, I think the path forward without all of that is we can appoint, but the attorney can't take any action unless like directed by an individual motion. Like if they need to work on something specific, there has to be a motion tied to that specific activity. And that's where we get into trouble, because if it's not that, if it's like a retainer and it's broad and there's no ordinance or anything supporting that broad activity, that's where we run into the dangerous water. I think as long as it's like Jerry mentioned that Mitch, all his actions that he did were on resulting from motions, he would ask for motions, and maybe this is why. Maybe he's not here to tell us, but maybe that's why he did it that way. I don't know.
Okay.
But I think we can appoint by motion, but it's the contractual persistent payment and non-directed activities that we get into danger territory with.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Jerry, did you have a quick comment, and then we'll get to Mr. James?
Yes, what Aaron said is correct. That's how we operated with Mitch. And Mitch, even, I mean, it was very clear, and he made it very clear that he did not take guidance from any one individual on the board. He wouldn't do something, and even if the motion that was written was foggy, he would have us go back and rewrite the motion, to make sure that, in the motion, like for one example, it says, contact the individual. And then we as a board thought, well, he was going to write a letter. Well, Mitch says, no, that's not what it was, so It was very clear exactly what the attorney was gonna do, and it was approved by the majority of the board. Otherwise, there was no action. And if you look at the statutes like Aaron has, the only time you need the ordinance and you need the contract and stuff like that, or a resolution, is if you're gonna say, okay, we want you to do X, and just do X, and just continue to do X, and we don't need to come back and tell you to do that again, we just expect you to do that. Well, that's not what we're looking for right now. That's not what Mr. James mentioned that he would be able to do for us. He mentioned that he would be able to, case by case, take the actions from it. I see there's no harm in moving forward with precedents been set in the past. Now, where we had a retainer with Mr. Hague, that happened under a different ground. But I see no reason legally that we cannot move forward. My comments on.
All right, thanks, Jerry. Mr. James, would you like to address the board, please?
Yeah, just for a second. So, I don't want to speak as long as I did last time, but just a couple of brief points, one, so I would certainly honor the bid that I made, a year and a half ago, when I submitted that to then board president Kramer, which was $2.25 an hour, which is right, that's what I said. I'll stick to it. Some legal prices have kind of been going up with inflation like everything else, but that's what I would stick to. So, and as everybody's intimated here, it would be on an as needed basis, because I'm, again, cognizant of your struggles with this budgetary item. So I'm not looking to run up a bill with you guys. I'm looking to provide the support where you need it. I wouldn't expect to be attending meetings unless there was something really urgent and critical where you want to be there, or, just to be perusing things that the town board did just for my own, fun. It would be, you guys need me to do X, I'll do it, to build this rate. So hopefully that would protect whatever remaining, budget you have on that item. I think there's a difference, as Mr. Stiles was saying. I think that, you can sort of have an attorney on staff, so to speak, or you can have an attorney that's just on commission to do, the things you're asking them to do. So, and I don't think you need an appointment or anything like special to say, we're asking this attorney to do this. So, that's the first thing I want to say. And then, the other thing I want to say was that, I do, even though it doesn't serve my own interests, I do think that your point, about, it's always a good principle of governance to be transparent about awarding monies. And so, if it was in the board's feelings that, well, we do want to put this out to the public, see if there's anybody else who wants to apply for this. It's always a good idea, as part of transparent government, to get bids for things. If it's economical, it's something where you're going to spend some money and it's not, a hassle just to make the public announcement or the paper or whatever you want to do. It's always a principle of transparent government to bid it out, right? And so I can't sit here and say, well, it's a bad idea to bid it out, because it serves my interests. That's what I'm trying to help. That's kind of one of my goals here. If I were to be in this position, will be to avoid, decisions like that, where I'm telling you something in my interest. So anyway, so I think that's, I don't know that I want to sit through another, 4 or 5 meetings to decide to see if you guys want to decide to do that or not. But, again, I'm happy to do this if you want me to. And, again, I can certainly scale it however you want me to scale it.
Okay, thank you for that.
Sure.
Okay, very good. Do we have any other discussion, Kathy?
I think the citizens have really spoken on what they want. And I'm hoping that you'll listen.
Okay, thank you. Trina?
I think it was gracious of him to say that we can bid it out. And I always think everything that costs money ought to be bidded out, because I want to see what the numbers are. So that's another citizen's opinion that's slightly different. But I do want to say too that historically governments have done just that. When when, it's a contract, they bid it out. When it's a lawyer, they treat it as a professional service and they make resolutions. From what I'm reading anyway. So I was kind of surprised by that because that's not my personal preference. My personal preference is that you would take these 2 weeks. We're not under any legal duress at the moment. Take these 2 weeks and call a few people or put it in the paper, whatever works. But I don't feel like we have to make a decision today, do we? Is that, I mean, this is the first time that it's been on the agenda as an action item to make a decision.
Excuse me, well, can we just, let's just take turns and just proceed and.
Yeah, I'm obviously riling the troops here. I don't mean to rile anybody. I just meant to say maybe there's an option, because this to me is kind of new. I know that there were people that have been discussing the lawyer issue for all summer and stuff, but I'm not in that group of people. So my first, I mean, I heard a little rumor of it, and then my first official notification of this whole issue is when he came and spoke at the last meeting, which he did a great job and he sounds excellent. So I don't think you could go wrong with him. But so it's still kind of new to me. So I'm thinking, hey, can we take 2 weeks to bid it out as an option? It makes sense to me to know what the other options are.
Okay, thank you. I see Joan's hand in the back. She hasn't had a chance to speak on this issue yet. Joan?
Thank you. I think either way is probably acceptable, but I agree that, there's not a huge rush. My preference would be to post it in the Chronicle for 2 weeks, requesting letter of interest. Then you've done your due diligence.
Okay, thank you for that. Mark and Jerry?
Yeah, I just want to say that a lot of people in the community are interested in this subject, and the petition that went around wasn't just about the budget. It was also about the character of who was representing us and how the town felt about that. So it was a lot more than just budget. We all know there needs to be some kind of representation. And, we're talking about looking, okay, offering an ordinance or a resolution and trying to get it set. Who's gonna write that? Or who's gonna give us a legal opinion on how to write that? If we don't have somebody that we can call. It's just.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was a couple chicken or the egg issues with some of the personal ideas here that we've gone through in the last couple of weeks. Jerry, did you have a further comment or question?
Yes, I do. Going back to when Mitch resigned, we requested that the board and president, this was Linda at the time, the citizens requested that they do exactly what you're saying. Go out and advertise, go out and ask and find a lawyer. And you can go back and you can get the recordings if the citizens ever have our opportunity to get them again. And Linda's comment was, I don't think we're gonna do that. Citizens, if you want a lawyer, go find one. So I think for now, I think we need to move forward. And if we do, then I have no problem with things being competitive. A lot of times you don't compete professional services. Just like when we hired the engineer, you had a performance-based requirement. And then you go out and look at it, you have certain objectives. And I followed those to the T, and there isn't a person in this room or in this community that can say that we did not get, by following that process, we did not get the best engineer possible. And that's what, and at that time, I talked about that, and said, that's what we need to do, is go out and do that. And the answer was, no, go on, get it. And my next point is, okay, so we get this information, it comes back in, like we request, citizens went out, guys, information came in. So who's to say that, and from experience, and from what has happened in the past, one lawyer was given the other person's bid and given the opportunity to change his bid. That is true, Cal. That is the truth. Ask any citizen in the room.
Okay, is that the end of your comment, Jerry?
My comment is, if we're gonna do something, let's do it fairly. In the past, it wasn't done. We were told to do it. We asked to have it done the way you're talking. We were told no. And then find your own. We got somebody, and then the whole system was not, it was all based on bias, who they wanted as their attorney, to the point of even accusing an attorney that maybe he wasn't qualified by a board member.
Okay,
It's time to just move forward.
all right, thank you for that. Aaron?
I think, we have a motion on the floor.
Yeah.
I think I would like to amend that motion.
Okay. Would you like to amend it to?
Appoint Scott James to interim city attorney with consideration of other letters of interest if received by the board within 60 days. So basically, make him intern. If we don't get any other letters of interest that seem more impressive to us within 60 days, we click him over to the city attorney.
Okay, is there a second to that?
I think I'll second that.
Motion.
Yes, excuse me.
So, for your motion, if we receive no other offers or letters of interest, then it defaults to him being the attorney.
Him being the city attorney, yeah.
For any period of time.
Until what, so it's an appointment automatically resets in June of every year. So it would carry us until next June.
And then if we do have a letter of intent,
We have to consider it fully, their whatever rates they set. If somebody gives us a letter of interest, we have to consider the rates and everything. And I guess before we talk too much, I should probably ask if Scott is okay with this arrangement. Should that be the way we do it?
okay. Very interesting. Okay, so, is there any further discussion on this one? Linda?
60 days. So if we're putting notice out, putting it in the paper and giving them the time, I'm just thinking, I'm not sure that 60 days is quite enough.
Or just do it to the end of the year?
No, I don't think we need to go that far. We need to have this done, I think, before Christmas, so maybe, the meeting in 60 days would make it November 20, whatever, 21st. So let's just carry it to the first meeting in December. First meeting in December would be, Tuesday, yeah, the 2nd.
So is that your suggestion for another amended motion?
Yes.
I believe we have to address the first, or can we do up to 2 amendments? So we did, Gary?
What you have to do is you have your first motion, and then, the first amendment can be amended, but the first amendment's already been, the first motion was amended. Now what she's doing is looking at, during the discussion, to amend the second one.
Amend the amendment.
amend the amendment.
Yeah.
So for her amendment, she would need a second. Is there a second on that? And if there is a second, then you guys discuss that.
I understand that part of it, but there's a limit to how many amendments you can make, so.
Yes.
Is two is the limit, so.
Yes.
If we do get a second to this one, we cannot make another amendment until all the motions clear the floor.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, thank you. So do we have a second to Linda's amendment to the amended motion?
I'll second it.
Okay, so, get all that, Terry?
And we have to vote.
Then the 50 days we're going to.
Yeah. What was the day that you?
December 2nd.
December 2nd. Okay, and Aaron seconded. Okay, further discussion from the board? Seeing none. Kathy, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, this is why nothing ever gets solved, is because you just keep putting it off and putting it off.
Okay, well, this is how we conduct town business, so I appreciate your comment, but, Tammy?
Just so I can comprehend what just happened, at first, from what I'm understanding, is at first Linda wanted us to put out a newsletterhead, whatever, bulletin board for 2 weeks. And then to see if we got any other people. And then all of a sudden Aaron said, well, let's appoint him for 60 days in between that time. And then all of a sudden Linda just said, well, 60 days has been enough. So I'm trying to understand where 2 weeks was enough and now 60 days is enough.
Well, so I think what you're referring to is a point Linda made during the discussion, during the first motion. And so the first motion was immediate appointment. The second motion, which was an amendment to the first motion, was to stretch it out to 60 days, of essentially being a somewhat pseudo temporary appointment, unless it, to where if we received another letter of intent in addition to Mr. James, then that would be considered. And then Linda's amendment to the motion was, let's go until December 2nd rather than the 60 days, give a little more time for consideration from other attorneys. And people can look around and see, and it's nothing against Mr. James, it's just the board trying to do our own due diligence here. And, not make a hasty decision. And there's a lot that's been going on tonight, so, does that, answer
Yeah,
your
it
question?
makes me understand a little easier. It just got so
Yeah,
amended, and I was lost.
So now we're going to.
No, we need to vote.
well, the motion on the floor right now is to vote for, Linda's amendment, which is, Aaron, you had a good way of putting it last time. Can you please say that?
Motion to appoint Scott James, the interim city attorney with consideration of other letters of interest received received before December 2nd.
We're appointing him tonight.
As an interim, and then if we don't get any other letters on December 2nd, then it's not interim anymore, then it's
December 2nd.
by December 2nd, compromise.
Thank you.
That's the step forward is compromise, I think.
Yeah, and I appreciate your clarification on that. Brain's moving a little slower right now, so thank you for that. Okay, do we have any further discussion on Linda's second amendment? Dan?
Not to run the meeting from the audience, but easiest would have been just vote the motion down and then do a single motion at the end of it, and make it easier on Terry.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be one way to do it. However, we'd have to initially vote that nay. And I'm not sure if everyone would have understood the order of business. So in this way, we can kind of preserve the Okay. All those in favor of Linda's amendment?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain on this one, so we have 3 ayes and 1 abstention. So that motion, that amended motion carries. So now we need to vote on the first amended motion. So all those in favor?
Aye.
You have to vote nay on that one.
Yeah, that has to be.
Clear by voting nay.
That's what we're in 60 days.
Okay, all right, yeah.
We have to clear the motions off the floor.
But what you do is vote on, because that amendment was amended, you vote on that amendment as it was, that second amendment, that first amendment as it was amended.
Right.
And as it was amended by, an amendment to the amendment. So what you end up doing is, if you can follow Robert's rules, you vote on the amendment to the amendment and you approve it. And then you go and say, okay, now we're gonna amend the original amendment. And then, yes, it's correct. But anyway, then you vote on that as an amended and you approve that, and then it goes up, okay, the final deal, this is how it was amended. You just go right back up the chain.
Okay, well, I've seen it done multiple ways, so in my view, we passed the amended motion, that's the second amended motion. And so now we have the first amendment on the floor and the second amendment on the floor. So we need to clear those. And so then we can vote nay on either of those, and then the motions will be cleared. So, at least that's my understanding of it, and so we can run with that, and then further research can make either bear that out or not, but at least for now, let's go ahead and clear those motions. So all those in favor of the First Amendment? All opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Aye.
Okay, so First Amendment clears with a nay. Okay, all those in favor of the original motion that was amended twice and passed on the Second Amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
How did that, say all those opposed?
No.
I said all those in favor of the original motion, so then we need to clear that out with an A also, right?
Yeah, no, that one could say
Yeah,
yeah.
no, because that was to appoint him. That was just to appoint him as a town attorney.
Okay,
And then it got amended twice.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Okay.
Now we're clearing the original motions out.
Yes.
Okay, so the original motion, have those in favor? All those opposed? Nay.
Nay.
Good. Very good. Motion clears. Second amended motion carries. Mr. James will be, or is appointed interim attorney, at least until December well, until we receive a letter of intent, and then at that time, if we do, then we can consider it along with, I guess, another letter from him or his. Okay, very good. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. James.
Thank you, Mr. James.
I know it was a long time in coming, but thank you very much. Thank you.
Can we play 5?
Yeah, let's do recess until, what is it, 8:45? Yeah, let's go recess till 8:45. Thank you.
I don't know the time.
They just, they accepted, I know, no action. Apologize for doing a point of order. That's why I took time to prepare that presentation. Presented it, and in that presentation, it went through, okay, there's just one motion on the table. Okay, there's two motions, amendment, and then the third is. Explains that. Have the amendment. So first, you gotta handle first. Amendment to the amendment. So, and you say, okay, all in favor of this? We do. Then you go back. Then you go back and say.
And what I said when I was with them, I was like, you need your number. You need my number. I thought you said call. I don't have your number. I never around like I don't give it out. Phone number. The other day at Walmart, when they called me, and I'm like, they get home and like,
No, what you do is you go back and say.
and that's why I asked them.
Add something. Maybe you add something.
So lost. You guys are amending of what goes there. So I'm like, wait, you know, she said 2 weeks now. He's like, I don't get it. Just don't give it out. I won't give it. I'm not. Even though everybody's rubbing my knee and everybody's mouth, and I keep telling people.
What it is in that case, they're
Putting my name in your mouth for your own vendetta. Great. Like, we're over like that. I'm done. Oh my God. I'm doing what I was asking. Like, leave me alone.
order of business.
The what?
Way Robert's rules reading, it's just right out of the book. Start like I was trying to say. It's in the PowerPoint. That's. Okay, I'll look into it. I mean, I was thinking, that's even when the public.
So I was like, this is just like,
To.
they called the other day and I went off. Hey, everybody, I'm done.
It's a bit. See how
Putting
my
my name in your mouth.
see what I do?
When you don't know what happened.
And what's.
Oh, it's crazy.
Is amending the one. It's amending the amending. So you go back and it's been.
A cell phone on there.
Everybody agree with how.
On my card because you don't like them. Have anybody.
Yeah. I agree. There's a good reason for that. Thank you, Scott.
The amendment on the. And if people. Even though they proved the other. Then someone can make it. See, once they're one level, somebody could say, like, for example, here she made it a amendment. Once that's cleared. Yes, it goes on and say, okay. We vote on the way that it's been. That's not true. And then there's. That's why you have to follow the process. Right, but.
Nesting dolls is kind of how I was thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
Like you got to put them back together in the order you took them apart.
We need it's very clear. And that's why I get the presentation. That's why I
Actually, the reason why we need the work session. Probably that's not follow.
How to get that stuff out. Out to, I guess the people. So this question, why are we doing it this way? Everywhere. Did you break characters?
Yeah, it's nice and cold out there. Wait till
I happen to love summer. I don't like giving it up.
I did until summer started going over 190, 100 degrees. 85, that was a hot day.
There's definitely a difference. But actually, I need to use mine.
We have, this one will be easy.
And now. I'm ready, let's get this meeting. So is Rhonda coming in tomorrow? That can go around. Yes, I. I didn't come in till Friday. And now I'm going all the way.
Well, hopefully we'll be stopping that next year to be prepared.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And I talked to my daughter before I came. She'll be okay, Mom. She'll be okay. You know. Yeah.
It makes you feel better.
Yeah. Pretty impressed. I. Let's be out of here by 9 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much. As it's now 8:45, we're coming back from recess. 15C was tabled and basically indefinitely until notice from the Fergusons, and probably we'll have to look at doing a bid on that anyway, so have to work on that. Going to 16A, second reading of the appropriations ordinance 2.078 for the fiscal year 2026. And there were some changes to this between the first reading and this second reading. And so I will read the new amounts and also let you know what the change was. So let's begin. Town of Hermosa Ordinance 2.078. An ordinance appropriating funds for the fiscal year 2026. Section 1. Be it ordained by the town of Hermosa that the following sums are appropriated to meet the financial needs of the municipality for the fiscal year 2026. And if I do not mention a cents amount, you can assume that it's zero. General government sales tax, 279,389, which is an increase of 231 from the first reading. The BBB funds is 18,000. Property tax is 78,000, which is an increase from the first reading of 3,000. Other miscellaneous tax, 150. Licenses, 3,000. Permits, 2,500. State shared, 5,000. County shared, 12,500. Animal license, 500. Interest, miscellaneous and donations, 15,000. Rentals, 2,400. Liquor operating, 26,000. Collection, 56,000. Water department, we have permits, 211,500. Oh, sorry. Misread that line. Permits does not have an amount associated. Operating revenue is 211,500. Surcharge revenue, 4,600. Miscellaneous revenue, 22,000 with 0 per transfer in. Sewer department, under permits, we have nothing. Operating revenue, 149,974. Surcharge revenue, 93,392. Miscellaneous revenue is 8,000. Grants or loans is 350,000 with no transfer in. Debt service, tax increment financing district, we have nothing listed. Property tax, we have 18,000. Penalty, interest, and other taxes, we have nothing listed. Unassigned fund balance, we have nothing listed. The totals are as follows: for general, 480,439. Water, 238,100. Sewer, 601,366. Debt service, 18,000. BBB funds, 18,000 for a total of 1,355,905. Section 2, the following designates the fund or funds to which the money derived from the following sources is applied. In expenditures, general government, town board, we have 36,900, which is an increase of 3,231 from the last reading. And that is due to having one work session budgeted per month.
And two, so,
Oh, okay. Having
because we
two.
only had 6 budgeted for the year and now we budgeted. No, we budgeted, right?
Okay, well, we'll straighten that out, let you know at the end. Election board, 3,320. Planning and zoning, 20,000. Finance office / administration, 151,707. Street department, 78,951. Garbage collection, 61,500. Public safety law enforcement, 74,302. Professional fees attorney, 24,000. Engineer, 25,000. Building inspector, 0. Government buildings, $4,759 with 0 transfer out. Miscellaneous expenses, we have nothing listed for charitable donations, capital outlay expense of land or transfer out. Water department, water expenses, we have 238,100. Capital improvement expenses, 0, transfer out, 0. Sewer department, sewer expenses, 601,366. Capital improvement expenses, 0, transfer out, 0. Debt service, Hermosa administration expense, we have 18,000. Capital improvement expense, 0. Debt retirement fund, rural development water project, 0. SRF loan, 0. TIF water / sewers loans, 0. Rural development, DOT Main Street, 0. Lagoon land purchase, 0. Reserves for issued debt, 0. Contingency funds, 0. Reinvest, 0. FEMA funds, FEMA expenses are 0. Gross receipts, promotional expenses is 18,000. So the totals are as follows. For general, we have 480,439. For water, we have 238,100. For sewer, we have 601,366. For debt service, we have 18,000. For BBB funds, we also have 18,000. For a total of
1 million.
that's the same total as the last one. Is that correct?
Yeah, if your revenue got these equal
Okay.
expenses.
$1,355,905. Okay, section 3, that there is hereby levied upon all taxable property within the town of Hermosa for the fiscal year 2025. Tax sufficient to raise the following funds, to wit, for the general fund, $78,000, for a total levy of $78,000. Section 4, the town finance officer is hereby authorized and directed to certify said tax levy to the Custer County Auditor of Custer County, State of South Dakota, to the end that the same may be spread and assessed as provided by law, dated this 9th day of September 2025. So There we go. That was the second reading.
Well, it was 12 more meetings, 12 more work sessions.
12 more work sessions for a total of
That's what I
24 per year. So we are budgeting for 2 work sessions per month for 2026. And that's where that increase came from. $3,231 for the town board expenditures. Okay, we need a motion to adopt.
Yes. That's an ordinance.
Yep, so, okay, motion to adopt, I'll be accepting motions at this time.
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Aaron makes a motion to adopt, Don second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item 16B, request for legal opinion on town attorney presentation. So, you have to.
Yeah, I put that on my agenda. After I did my presentation, we had a little discussion. You mentioned the idea of getting a third part or getting a legal opinion, and I am fully, completely and entirely in support of that. I am a novice. My research skills are still growing. So yeah, but as far as who we choose, I mean, that's up to who or whether the board wants to use our interim attorney or find another opinion. I would support either, so I don't really know if that's something we want to discuss. Whether we should, I think one idea was to like use like a third party service like LegalZoom or something along those lines, completely remote, completely removed, completely unassociated, to just do 100% true third party opinion, but
You know, I don't know if that's, I'd have to look into that to see if that's even a viable option, you know, so. I mean, I'm okay with tabling this until the next meeting if the board is, but, I mean, we don't really have a pressing need to do that right now, right?
right, I think we
haven't, you know.
kind of by next year, right, is really like we want to have this sorted out by next year so we can take some time and.
Yeah. So I'll make the motion to table till the next meeting. So the next regular meeting.
Sounds good. I'll second that.
Okay, Aaron seconds. Motion to table. You have any discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Okay, approval of enumerated power for board president. So this is basically the result of board action that we requested of Mr. Hay a couple of meetings ago. And you can see in the packet the list that he generated. And so I think that it's a good topic of discussion. I know that since I became president, it's been kind of discussed as to what really should the board president be doing. You know, statute has a very limited scope for that, but the board actually can delineate further enumerated powers to the president or administrative functions or anything that it deems. And so I don't know if everyone had a chance to look over the list, but you know, a lot of these items are things that are basically not being done or reliant on committees to do or the board as a whole to do, which is the, you know, that's kind of the intent of the statute, it seems, after reading it, that, you know, the board as a whole should be the one making the decisions for the town. And that the, you know, the president is a kind of a figurehead, runs meetings, signs checks. But at a certain point, we're going to be like a ship without a captain. we have things that happen in between meetings, things that don't get on agendas. Things like that. I know that, some of the things that I'm asked to do as a board president don't strictly fall under the statute, but if I don't make that decision, who's gonna make it? So, to me, I think it's a very interesting discussion on, how often does a town get to decide the limits of the powers of its executive? And, I don't know, to me, I know this was mentioned for approval, so you can go ahead and make a motion. My intent of it mostly was to bring these points to the fore and to illuminate some of the issues that we may or may not have within the town without having a stronger executive here. Such as some interim decisions that need to be made, or somebody kind of keeping tabs on things and stuff like that. So anyways, I guess I'll just go ahead and I'll make the motion and see if anyone wants to second it for discussion. So I move that we approve the enumerated power, and as written, but amendments welcome if necessary, but basically for discussion. So is there any second?
I'll second that for discussion.
Okay, the seconds for discussion. So, is there anyone in the board that'd like to begin discussion? I kind of introduced the topic there.
Well, I guess if you think you need that much power, then are you gonna sit up for 3 and 4 hours out of the day to make sure everything's running right?
Well, again, I'm not saying that I think that all of these things.
Well,
are
what do we
things
have committees
necessarily-
for?
Right, but I'm just answering the point that this was basically a list generated by Mr. Haig of what he thought a stronger board president should be. And if you read the commentary down below, it talks about how it differs from a mayor and distinctions between third class town board presidents and such. And so, that's a good point that you brought up, which is if there are going to be some oversight capacities of that office, then how is that going to be executed, right?
Well, I think if that's the power you want, we need to think about down the road too, as to the next president. Do we want them to have these kind of powers?
Right, and then if you do want to do something with the sunset clause on it to test it out, or something that's revisited every year, then that's another way to approach it. I have heard that previous board presidents would come up and sit in the office and monitor things and make commentaries and stuff like that, which is actually, as we found out, outside of the purview of the town board president unless duly given that authority by the board. So, I think it's an interesting exercise to kind of have a list to bounce some ideas off of and just to see what people think. So Aaron, is your hand up?
Yeah, well, I'm kind of a pain in the butt with the technicals, so I got it. And I looked at the statute, to try to figure out really where we can go beyond what's enumerated into the existing president to what we can or cannot reinforce or appoint. So, yeah, I'm gonna bring them up because if I just talk about them, it's gonna be, I don't have them completely memorized, so. Please tell me I typed that correctly. Yeah, pull it up to the big screen. So like my thing is, all right, so what the statute, so we have the statutes that say what the board president can do. We can talk about additional, and one thing we've been focused on is additional powers. I think there's a fine line between additional powers versus a different additional oversight, additional administrative. But so what I came to pretty quickly is it's 7. It's kind of where it starts. No, I'm on the wrong one. No, this is it. So petition to change government. So city voters authorized to change the form of government. So the voters of any municipality may change its form of government or change the number of its commissioners, wards, or trustees by a majority vote of all electors voting at all elected, called and held as provided. Any municipality under special charter may adopt any form of government as provided in this title. So what this basically tells me is that the authority to determine what type of government we have, whether it's a board of trustees, a mayor and alderman, or a commissioners, that falls to the voters by referendum vote. And then you go down to here, 911-11, each person second class must be governed by a mayor and common council, a mayor and common council with city manager, board of commissioners. Each third class must be governed by a board of trustees with or without a city manager. Present form of government of existing municipalities must continue until changed as provided by this title, which kicks it back up to the city voters are authorized. So I think the point of caution here is at what point could we see ourselves assigning powers that could be perceived as an effort by the board to change the form of government without a referendum vote? And I think that's where we get into dangerous territory. So as far as, but like, then we can see there are some things that would be useful and wouldn't really necessarily be seen as exceeding authority, like we did with the motion giving you authority to decide to either invite or release the city attorney. That kind of needs to be done between meetings. Kind of an obnoxious thing to have the whole board vote on something as specific as that.
Yeah,
You know?
and if I may elucidate that point, the issue is that if the city attorney is not required, then we wait until the board meets, and then the board votes that the city attorney is not required. Okay, well, if the attorney comes, then he has to come here in order to be told to come home. But if he is required to be here, then the board has to meet. Hopefully at the beginning of the meeting, we put it on the agenda to invite the city attorney. And then at that point, if the motion passes, then the city attorney can leave and come here. Now, in the case of Mr. James, it seems that he just lives across the highway. It shouldn't be that big of a deal. So, but as per what he said during his speech last time he was here. But that's an illustration of kind of an issue with not having some executive authority to perform necessary functions. Okay, so, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to open it up to the floor and if there's anybody else that has any comment or question or anything, I think it'd be great to hear from everybody. But really the idea here is, there's some gaps that, that if we follow statute to the letter, we will not be able to function correctly. Like, so if I'm asked to make decisions that aren't specifically delineated or enumerated in the statute, if I make those decisions, which is something that I necessarily, or somebody necessarily has to do, I mean, historically, it's been the board president making those type of decisions, and it's just kind of, pedantic, daily type of decisions. Terry will ask me something and, because she wants some advice on it, and, I'll give her my advice and give her my opinion, but are we treading on dangerous waters here? Using an authority not delegated by the board, and the thing is too, there is a line at some point between, you're going from a president to a mayor, and then, like he said, you're essentially de facto changing the form of government and then bypassing the voters, as he mentioned up there. So, there is a continuum that we should work within. And I think it's important to identify what are the exact points that we can, give this authority to the president from the board, which, really, it kind of goes back to the Constitution that the Constitution can't give the government any authority that the people don't already have. So the board cannot give the president an authority to do something that they don't already have. If we go by extension on that. So anyways, we can open it up here, and I see Mark's hand. I saw Jerry's hand up a little while ago. So if you'd like, we can have a nice discussion on this and then move right along. So Mark.
Reading through these and reading through section 9 of South Dakota law. Some of his examples here, I would certainly have another attorney look at before you approve any of them. Like, managing town employees, responsible for hiring, firing, and appointing. State law is pretty clear about that. Without ordinance, that has to be a board decision. So everything needs to be looked at real careful. Yes, the board president ensures employees are doing their job, but they don't have the right or ability to tell the employees how to do their job without a board vote or a resolution. Them are just a couple really pretty simple things that is really clear on the law. And then I noticed, like on the bottom paragraph, the board president's role is balanced by the rest of the board. I think that's a completely bad way to put it. It's misleading because legislatively, the board president vote isn't any different than anybody else's on the board. It's of equal value. The president doesn't have veto power, can't do any of that. But here it says on this last sentence, balanced by the rest of the board, which can weigh in on financial and material decisions. And that's worded completely wrong because the board must weigh in on financial decisions. So I find the whole thing a little skeptical, but you do have a point. I do think instead of, authorities, a definition of responsibilities would maybe be a little more accurate to say authority and give that, well, it rings bad to the public. It puts out a connotation of, some evil dictator or something, and I know you're not that. It just, it gets that perception though.
I don't know who you asked, I guess.
Well, I suppose everybody has some thoughts in the way it's written, that here where it says that the board president, it makes it sound like if anybody has any issues, you must talk to the board president. That's the way it reads. And these guys are all elected too, so anybody should be able to go to any elected person and speak to them freely. So if anything like this was to be considered, it would have to be tailored, in my opinion, much differently than it is, because I just don't, it doesn't jive with the way I feel, I guess.
Right, yeah, okay, thanks. Let's go with Jerry and then Aaron and Donna.
Yeah. One of the things that I did, and I think I had Terry try to provide it to everybody, and I provided it to you, Kel. I know he had a chance to look through it. And one of the things I did is I went down and looked through on every bullet that came up. And I think there's maybe, I have to go back and count. There's 4 or 5 that I say, yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And maybe.
Excuse me, I have to go home really quick. I'm sorry, excuse me.
But in so doing that, and again, Mark kind of mentioned one of the items we were talking about managing town employees, hold responsible for all appointing, supervising, and potentially removing subordinate officers and department heads through this, though this may require board approval. Well, that there, saying it may is nothing. May has in legal terms, contractual terms, may means nothing. So with that there, it would say that the board president has that responsibility to do that. And then it also, later on, in the write-up that Mr. Hague did, Mr. Hague referred to you and said, remove his subordinate officers. Later on in his conversation, in his writing here, he refers to board members as officers. And right now, we have an ordinance, 30.06, that explains, it spells out very explicitly how a board member can be recalled all the way into the state law. And so I would just request the board members to go through and look at what I've written and just see what they do. But like I said, there's some of these things we learn. You know, the point of, you know, especially when it's a situation where we can't afford to hire a lawyer to come to every meeting. Yes, there needs to be a motion by the board authorizing the president and or the vice president in the president's absence to call it. But that's just a one-time deal, not across the board. And not to go through every one of them, but this is kind of my synopsis. After reviewing the issues point by point, a consistent theme emerged. We already have a system in place. The system is built on committee chairs and vice chairs, delegation of authority to those committees and positions, whether it's, you know, Chuck's contract position, Terry's position, the delegation of those things. Oversight and monitoring. Yeah, you got to do that. Majority approval of the board. That's the key item that we have to have. And then in compliance with current ordinances and South Dakota codified laws. Consolidating powers into the board president in hope of, you know, some of the people saying that the reason this was done is, this is what I hear, so, is that because they feel that nothing's getting done, so they want to do this. Well, I don't know if that's it or not, but that's what I heard. But I really don't think that is the solution of consolidating the powers. The real solution is, in my evaluation, it goes on to say it, is in 4 key areas. First off, allow the finance officer to do her job. She is the expert. Her responsibility are well-defined in South Dakota codified laws and local ordinances, and she has taken an oath to uphold them. She must be supported and treated with professional respect. And in my evaluation, when I wrote it up, when, you know, I don't want to go back and cover every one of them, but there's a finance committee, and historically, it's been it's been the board president and the vice president. Now, as you guys being committee members on that, you guys should be monitoring and paying attention that, okay, is she following the state laws? Is she following what's in her work job description? Is she following the town ordinances? And if you feel not, and then things to be taken at that time, but not overseeing the day-to-day operation of it. Next is, and nothing, I'm not trying to offend any committees or anything, but committees fulfilling their responsibilities. Committee members must accept the authority delegated to them. Just like tonight, you know, you said, well, I don't need to have a motion, tell me that. It's, you guys are the water committee. You guys need to get together. You guys need to come up with whatever contract might need to be done. And then when you come to a work session, you have a finished product there on whatever committee you are on to say, hey, this is it. Now let's go line item by line item. Okay. The board president acting as a monitor, not a manager. The board president's role is to monitor and step in only when necessary, always following the chain of command. Like in the past, like when I was on the board, there was a water line break. The chair of the water committee, the chair of it was Vicky. I never got involved at all. Between Vicky and Chuck And the finance officer did. I didn't even have to show up on site. I didn't deliberately show up on site because that chair has to take on that responsibility. On sewer things, I think I was the vice on sewer, and Linda was the chair, but then it's the same thing. We worked as a committee and decide what to do. So it's really important that we go back and realize that we do have a process that works. And it's gonna take a few little tweaks, you know, especially when we don't have, like I said, we don't have a lawyer every day to do that. So some of those things we do need to do. And then my fourth item is hiring an independent principal town attorney. The board must hire a town attorney with integrity, and I think you guys did that tonight. And I thank you very, very much from the bottom of my heart. And a strong, with integrity and a strong moral compass. And then allow that attorney to provide the essential checks and balance. So that the attorney can kind of monitor what's going on. And I think some of the comments he made, I mean, he says, well, this isn't in my favor, but no, yeah, if you're gonna write a contract, go out and try to get somebody. We need someone that doesn't have an agenda. And then an item that I didn't have on here, but it's an item and that I'm gonna take from Mr. Haig's presentation, is that, you know, he made the comment that by having Shauna, even though, you know, leave, that the constituents that voted for her have lost their, what do you want to call it? They're kind of, you know, was it a wasted vote? They lost their, I can't remember the term he used, but the same thing here. If we take powers away that should be the whole board's powers without a good rational reason and put it in one person, and then it takes away from, you know, I voted for Donna, or I voted for Keller, or I voted for Linda, or I voted. If that person writes, I mean, what he does is diminished. You know, I just don't think that's right. But I just think that this here, as what Mark has stated, is that we can go down and look at some of these, and you go down and look at, you know, if you review mine, there's a lot of them that I say yes. You know, there's things in here where they talk about, you know, and he bring one of them up being the sole point of contact. Well, no, but then on the part where you're the spokesman for the community, I said, yes, that has to be there. And, you know, I think you should do and I did every 6 months or so, do a state of the deal. Anytime there's something positive happening in the board, go out and post it. Get it in the monthly newsletter, you know, of talking. No, you can sell the community, that's fine. But then when there's different places and functions, you know, we've already done some of the stuff, you know, you guys, not us, but it's a community, so it's us, appointed, you know, voted in Aaron as the economic development point. And that can be done at different levels. So I guess my point is we have a system. Let's don't deviate from it, but we need to do tweaks. Like you said, you go through where are we right now? You know, short of calling an emergency meeting, you know, where are we at? I just think that it can be like individual items out of this would be positive for the community. Accepting it, the whole thing as it is, it clearly violates ordinance 30.06. And the way it's written is like Mark said, it's a little subjective because the attorney knows what may means. Attorney knows what may means. So that's my input. Thank you, sir.
All right, thanks, Jerry. I appreciate your, did get your email, as you know, and I'll go through that and look at that more carefully. I know we looked at it a little bit earlier, but, yeah, I mean, you know, that, I see Kathy, but the town needs, people need to be aware of. I know there's been issues before where the president was doing something and people might not have agreed with what they did, and then, well, why are they doing that? And can they do that and everything like that? And if we can clearly delineate the bounds of the board president office in the future, if there are any concerns with how the president is acting, then the president's actions can be judged or compared to the bounds that were set in place. Okay, and then if those bounds need to be changed one way or another, then they can be, and we can go through process to do that. But really, the main thing is, it will be great if and when everybody can be on the same page with what is the board president supposed to be doing? What are, what's the limit to their responsibility and or authority? I mean, it would be those are great questions to answer, because when somebody walks in or gets voted in, they don't walk into the board president position, of course, but when they get voted into the board president position, there's not a manual that says, "Dear Mr. New Board President, this is what you do." Right? And so up until we started talking about this, it's just kind of, what is precedent? What did former board presidents do? And so, that may have gotten, people may have gotten upset because maybe they weren't doing everything that they were supposed to be doing for statute, and we don't really have ordinances for the town bounding the board president's responsibilities. So, like I said, I think it's a very interesting and necessary exercise for the town and the people in the town to help define what exactly the executive should and should be able to do. So anyways, Kathy?
One of the things that I found interesting on that was, why was that not on letterhead or not signed by the attorney? That was a big question. And there's a lot of things on there that are not legal. I don't have a problem with coming up with some things, and like Jerry said, there are some points on there that are good, but there are some points that are definitely not good. And it's something you can look at and change, but I would not adopt that at this point. It definitely needs to be looked at.
Okay, thank you. Art?
I guess from where I'm sitting and where I take this, I think the board is looking for the discussion, right? I mean, obviously, you're not looking to approve these the way they're written tonight.
No,
So
that was not the intent.
I think everybody can put in their input and the board evaluate everybody's input and come up. State laws, all of Section 9 kind of pertains to this, and they give direction. But most all of them say, unless ordinance adopted by the town can do it. So, sure, bomb drops downtown. Somebody needs to have the authority to do something. There's certain things that are, I think people understand. There's got to be a guy for that, but it just needs to be tailored in a way that somebody can't read it and assume they can take other powers. It would have to be very tailored and done very well. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, and that's what the term enumerated refers to, that it basically the list that is enumerated, that's the extent of the authority. So, Dan?
So it's a matter where being in a position in as what a person is, you do get certain individuals that look at things in a whole different perspective and take it to another level, but you're going to get involved in every aspect of it, whether you are or aren't, and you take that responsibility. You don't get to make any motions, you don't get to make any major decisions until you come to that board, but you're still involved in them duties every day. And if you so choose to take that responsibility on, some don't. And some don't feel that that is their responsibility. You know, the finance officer has huge responsibilities, bonded and the financial risk on everything she does, as well as abilities coming in and out of this office and who is in and out of this office, because she's responsible for every aspect if something comes up missing. But as far as you overseeing troubles and problems, they're gonna call you first. You know, the other members are on the board, but they're coming to you first, and you're gonna direct traffic, and that happens all the time. And so that portion of it is what I call public service, volunteering your service, because we all know this position isn't that position. As far as tweaking some of these, yeah, you're gonna put it in a better format. But as far as this description, it is the duties that are carried on. You're involved in every single bit of it. So I appreciate that, and you're headed the right direction.
All right, thanks, Dan. Eric?
Yeah, so, talk about some stuff here, so. I'm okay with what I'm seeing, there's only a couple things that kind of red flag me, and that's the supervising administration stuff, when it comes to a certain aspect, definitely should be probably looked at a bit. Removing, managing town employees, that I feel like that still needs to be a group effort, obviously. So that's gonna be a no for me. Ensuring financial oversight, I put no for that because of the risk involved in that. Let's say something comes missing, they're gonna point the finger directly at you. They're gonna be like, oh, he's probably embezzling, playing around, should be just should be done, you know, especially if some wild wacky something comes up. And I think we need to just leave that to the group and to the boss maybe. And then everything else I see under, yeah, you might need to tweak some things, but other than that, it's kind of like what's already going on currently. Is there's just some changes, like the May. I get that. The only time I've ever heard May used, it's very broad. So May this, May that. I think that's definitely, if it was ever thrown any more in here, that's definitely got to be interpreted differently. Because anybody can sit there and be like, May, oh, bet, watch this. I'm going to do something completely different. It says May. This gives you room for coloring outside of the lines. So, but I think it'd be a good idea to have a strong leader and, you know, somebody who could take action on some things for sure. But definitely some of this needs to be worked for sure. But definitely no on the financial oversight, no on the administration, no rural subordinates. That needs to be a group thing, I think, personally. So that way it stops people from having to deal with the legality stuff, especially with that plan.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel about my version of that, but that's like the best way I can see it. So,
Yeah.
but there's definitely stuff that does need to be worked, but yeah.
All right, Aaron, you did have a question or comment?
Yeah, just one other thing. So like there's, I don't have it up right now. I could, what is it, 9 for, appointment of municipal officers and employees, 9-14 where's the appointments, appointment of officers.
Yeah.
Shall be appointed either appointment. Such officers shall be appointed annually. Majority vote of the members, so each officer shall be appointed by a majority vote of the members elected by the governing body. And then their dismissal is the same, so this is where we get into a term called alter bears, which is exceeding authority. So like with the appointing or dismissing officers, like finance officer or any other officers, if a single person was to do that, regardless of whether or not we had ordinances or this in place giving that person that permission, this says it has to be a majority vote. So let's say, let's pick a fictional town somewhere else, but the president's cousin got a DUI and he goes to the marshal and says, you're not gonna charge this, and if you do, I'm gonna dismiss you. And then the marshal tries to pursue, and then the president dismisses him. Well, all of the liability isn't on the government, it's on that individual who exceeded their authority, ultra vires. So giving the president powers that aren't already granted in statute without being extremely careful takes liability from the municipality and puts it onto that individual. So like if we were to make a motion approving, especially a motion, not even a resolution, but just a motion, and then any of these powers were exercised in a way that exceeds the authority granted to them by statute, then liability, all sorts of problems kind of erupt. So that's why ordinance is kind of the absolute minimum, as I understand, for any delegation of powers. So.
Yeah, and it would be, if at the end of this process, we did flesh out the ordinances that delineates the responsibilities and limits of the presidential authority, then that would be a good thing, because that would be kind of at least providing guardrails for the president coming in, so that they would know what they are and are not supposed to be doing.
And
So.
well, one thing that has been mentioned a couple of times is people come to the president. We're all up here. Sometimes I wish everybody would always come to me, but I'm happy to have people come to me. And they do come to all of us for different things. They do. They don't always just come to the president. And they need to know that they don't have to, that they can come to any board member about any generic issue. It's a good idea for them to go to the committee people for a committee related issue. But the idea of one person being the one that 400 people go to with all their town related problems sounds like an absolute nightmare. And I can understand how that situation, when done that way in the past, has stressed presidents to an extreme. Being the person that they feel like they have all this responsibility, but not necessarily the authority that goes with having that much responsibility. So I think maybe a better direction is to make sure all the citizens know that they can go to any one of us anytime, or all of us at different times about the same thing. I mean, I think open communication, maybe that's what we really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up here. I see a couple of hands out there. You have a quick comment, Gary?
Yeah, as far as emergencies, there's a red book in there, and we had an example today that I don't think any board president sitting in that position for all the meetings I've been to and all the recordings I listened to had issue as tough as what you had to do today. And it was tough. And as far as everybody going to everybody, we need to do that. I already said my piece. I have them written down here. I think this is a good opening for a work session. But if you do have a work session, in order so there's constructive things and we get something out of the work session, is to, okay, if you want to come to the work session, do your homework before. Like, Jerry, I want to come to the work session. I present to the work session every one of my things, page by page.
All right.
And then to get something good out of it, not just sit and go.
I understand. That's a good point. Is there anybody who'd like to speak on this that has not yet spoken? Yeah, let's just go ahead and call for a vote to close this motion out. Again, the motion on the floor is to approve the list. I don't think that anybody wants to approve the list as listed here. So all those in favor? All those opposed?
Aye.
Aye. Linda?
I said aye.
Okay, so 4 opposed, motion fails. Moving along to new business, D, request from utility customers for bill reduction for 3 months while customer is hospitalized.
And so I had, somebody called me and her dad was put in the hospital, was actually in Mayo for 3 months, and asking about if there's any policy that we can adjust their bill. They are outside the town limits, so they're not on our sewer system. Their bill generally runs between 80 and 90 bucks a month. And I said, well, there's nothing in our ordinance that allows us to do that I'm aware of. But I said I could take it to the board and see, and I just said that's all I could do. I don't know.
I don't know, that'd be a good
I
question.
don't know
for
that
an
we've ever
attorney.
done that before. But on the flip side, I do have somebody who's willing to step in and help out for these 3 months and pay like $50 a month, which I think would satisfy their needs.
Okay.
And I can do so with that.
Okay, Aaron.
I'm wondering, I don't know, they talked to us about that whole United Way thing. Connex and them are looking for people that need help with things. I don't know, maybe this is worth mentioning to them.
Okay.
Okay.
I can.
You want to talk to Hermosa Connects about?
Yeah, I
is that
will.
what you're saying?
Yeah, Terry.
Yeah, I can do that. Yep.
Okay.
So.
Jerry?
It was for 3 months and her normal bill is
They
80.
run between 80 and 90 because they're not on our water. They're just on, or they're not on our sewer. They're on water and garbage. So.
I also will take that to Hermosa Connects and
Okay.
talk with people.
Okay.
We'll get, there'll be enough money will be
Okay.
donated from Hermosa.
Okay. I appreciate that. So, yeah.
All right, thanks, Jerry.
Yeah.
Okay, Dan?
And that's always another one of them hard positions, because if you set a precedent and we set a bill, as much as you want to help them, you're gonna have 290 more.
Yeah, well, and it's good that we do have organizations locally that can step in and take care of that. And I think us as a board and as a town can help support those organizations.
Right.
So then ongoing into the future, those organizations can then help where we can. So I think that's a great point. So, okay, very good. Looks like that item has been taken care of. So, is there another item on new business? I don't think so, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think I brought out here, so. Let's move along to items from constituents. So it is now, what, 9:40, so, obviously, let's just be respectful of people's time here, but if there's any, comments on anything that you want to comment on, please do so, and, we can begin now, I guess. Is there any constituents, Trina, Joan, and Jerry?
I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate the compromise for the lawyer, and I'm grateful that he's gracious enough to be on temporary retainer or whatever you want to call that. And I know it's really late, but I just really wanted to point out that you guys are communicating really well, and I know it's a tough job. And the meeting started really well, and it was handled very well, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Joan?
I have to agree with what Trina said. But also, I would like to request now that you have hired help, that you, get some of the archived, minutes and agendas back onto the website for review, because sometimes you have to go back a little farther.
Okay. Do you need any help with that, Terry?
Well, Aaron and I talked about this last week, and then my helper is on vacation this week, so I'm having to do the utility bills, and so it's on my list to do, and I know Aaron's gonna help
I'm
me.
just saying,
Yeah,
within the next
so,
month.
yeah, we're gonna work on that, get that done as quick as we can. So.
Okay. All right, thank you, Joe. Jerry?
A couple items here. First, I want to say thank you very much. This was a potential very meeting that could have went wrong. I think it went well. I think it went really well. Another item, thank everybody on the board for that. The 3 mile radius for the citizens, that was taken off of the items from constituents. It used to have the 3 mile radius on it. When I became the board member, it wasn't there. I wanted to change it, and there was 2 board members that said, the only way you can change that is if you have a motion. And so I said, fine, went ahead, we had a motion discussion, we added that to it. And it's more than just having it there, but in order for this community to grow into the future, we need to annex. And so we want to want to out there for them to come in. And everything that you guys do here affects them. So I really would request, and there's been quite a few citizens that came to me and asked me about it. I know that there was even some posts on Facebook from some individuals that asked for that. And again, I'll go along with Joan. We need to get all the past recordings and stuff up because it's really hard to go back and do research. And you know, just somehow when they changed over, that got lost, but it needs to, you know, I'm gonna be around some. I can sit at the computer and go click, click, you just click, click, you know. Hopefully Aaron has this big process that he can just make it happen. But yeah, I just want to say thanks.
Okay, is there any other items from constituents? Dan?
I just want to say, I hope that we can get another trustee back, Harris. I think that was a very bad misunderstanding. I feel that legality wise, I think it will. I hope it's not a hardship on the board itself from the way incidences occurred and happened. And it's always a hard situation when you have resignations and feelings and positions as they are. So I hope we can get that all put back together. And I look too hard at, I wish the citizens would have fought harder when we had the incidences with Southern Black Hills Well Water and when we lost our abilities to serve out of our community here. And previous boards didn't choose to fight for that and let the appeals go. And I think there's going to be a lot there too for us to be able to go. So if you're asking for opinions out of our community borders, it makes it a little difficult on that part of it too, when you have boardrooms where you want to look at new development or any other situations to have occurrences happen. So thank you for all your hard work. So I'm going to get harder.
All right, thank you. Yes, sir.
So on Dan's comment about stretching out boundaries and all that, what's going on with the water and sewer line that's hanging out here? Is there any lawsuits going on with the suing the engineer and all that for not getting approvals and all that, the submittals and all that for the project?
Not that I'm aware of.
I mean, that's $450,000 that they kept the town out. Why aren't we pursuing that? Because, you know, you talked about not having enough money for a lawyer. There's $450,000 sitting there on the bank somewhere.
Right. I saw, is there anyone else that'd like to speak that hasn't spoken yet? And we'll do one more round. No, I saw Dan and Jerry.
Thank you. And I just a comment to that. That actually is going to save the town money because they are going to put power up there. They're going to drill another well up there. They're going to put a booster coming back. That's going to be well deserved on that situation. If you look at how many years that's been there versus today's cost, town's going to be way ahead of the game.
Okay, thank you, Jerry.
Yes, my position on that is that I think there should have been a lawsuit against the engineer. There should have been a lawsuit against the engineer for the lagoon. She got paid 100% for the lagoon and she did not, it was not finished. There was a motion, there was an issue raised where we started getting payments where we had to pay the state. And then it came out that after they had to go into executive session, the board came out and said, okay, we'll make her pay it out of her money that she has coming in. Before their next month came along to take out of her pay again, there was a motion put forward, supported by the finance officer, supported by Mr. Haig, supported by the board, to pay her 100% of that project, and it was not done. It was not done. And so I see the feelings that Chris, is that your name? That Chris has. But I also see Dan's comment. With our new engineer, he figured out a way to utilize that water line for what he's done. The sewer and water, the sewer's gonna be there. It's gonna have to get revamped. We gotta have to redo things we're gonna have to do in order to use it, do the same thing that the state said we had to do in the first letter, but there was $43,000 spent on a lawyer going to the state and trying to convince them that our engineer was right. That's my comment.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. Is there anyone else that would like to comment? Okay, don't see any. Trustee input. Donna, did you have any input?
No, I feel it was a very productive meeting tonight, and I think we satisfied the citizens with some of our decisions, so.
Okay, Linda?
No, I was just gonna say the same thing, that we need to get, the recordings back up. There was two separate, issues tonight where the recording, could have been used and wasn't, and so we do need to make sure that that gets done. We made it possible to hold more and to have that available, and so we need to work that through as fast as possible.
Okay, thank you. Aaron?
I'll comment on that point pretty quick. There actually is you can kind of just click it and it'll happen situation. I found a piece of software that you give it an image and a folder full of all the files, and it automatically sequentially turns them all into videos so I can upload them into YouTube. But there's a priority list, and it's somewhere by the south right down here right now, but I'll bring it up. Other than that, yeah.
Glad you can do it, that's all.
Okay. Is that the extent of your comment, Mr. Service?
I got nothing.
Okay. I just have a comment, and don't take it too seriously, folks. I know Facebook and stuff, people take things kind of seriously sometimes, but I just have one question in response to people wondering if I'm a tyrant, and that is, how does the town of Hermosa sound?
We like it.
That's the end of my comment, and so I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at, time is it now?
9:50.
9.
I'll make that motion.
Linda makes a motion to adjourn. Eric seconds. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.